Hello and welcome to Nice and Blunt. My name is Adam Riancho and we are very close to the NFL season. It's Saturday, August 30th, 9:30 p.m. If you're on the East Coast, it's already Sunday. Let's hop into some late night streams and we're just going to be drafting from the gut today. My favorite players are going to be top of mind, and that's usually kind of how I draft in general, but I might give a little extra emphasis on my personal bias in this one. So, vamonos, let us begin. All right, here we are on Underdog, and I am pleased to announce I do have a partnership lined up with Underdog this upcoming season. I'm looking for something on the tape. But I would offer you my code to join me in this draft if you're new to Underdog. Maybe you're checking out this live stream after it's been recorded and you're starting from the beginning. Starting Monday, if you use my code Nice and Blunt or just code Blunt, you will be able to get $50 in bonus funds to play with after depositing 5 with code Blunt. But don't do it yet. Don't do it yet. Wait till Monday. I just thought I'd let y'all know that is an opportunity for new customers for Underdog. But that contract is not yet live. It starts on Monday. Starts on Monday. I'm pleased to announce that. So just a heads up, I'll be sharing with you some of my Underdog picks this season, and excited for that partnership to ensue. But here we are on the website itself, and I'm going to be hopping into the pointer. I've mentioned the pointer in the past. I still have a few more entries available, so that's what I'm going to be doing tonight. So if you want to be joining with me, I'll let you know in the chat when to join. Look out for a join now comment that I will drop. And this tournament has relatively good odds of making money, especially if you advance to the playoffs. The structure in the playoff weeks are very good. 1 out of 6, definitely better than 1 out of 10, like the puppy is. And then 1 out of 3 is almost the best you can find across the board. The only other better scenario would be like the eliminator, where it's 1 out of 2, and then maybe like the block contest, where it's also 1 out of 2 in the playoffs. But the pointer, by far my favorite tournament live at the moment, so that is definitely what we're hopping into. I hope you're ready. I will be dropping join now in just a few seconds. Just gotta wait for the delay. It's incoming. I hope you're ready if that's what you want to do. Okay, let's go. Vámonos, muchachos. 4 spots left. Hopefully we don't have to wait too long. But, especially when there's a tournament that only has like a low maximum of entries, like this one, like 7 entries max on this one. Some of the people who are like really obsessed with this website and, you know, are much more, what's the term, experienced and maybe have some sharper draft tactics. Some of them like max it out early on. So sometimes I like to save some of these entries for later on in the tournament when some of those teams have maxed out their ability to hop into this tournament. And maybe we're hopefully drafting with maybe some more fresh users that perhaps don't have as much expertise as some other people. But you really never know who you're going to be drafting with and whether or not they're good or bad. Like, just because you have a badge doesn't actually mean you're going to be drafting the winning team in the lobby. You might just have a shit ton of teams and maybe you want to mix it up and go, you know, elsewhere. People can just be wrong as well. I have a badge, and I'm sure I'm going to be messing this up half the time, if not more. So I could maybe not get lucky, but this lobby's full. We'll see what happens, but I would assume later on there's going to be fewer badges, fewer experienced players in the lobby. But we do get pick 3, and that logic maybe does stand. I am one of only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people with the badge, 7 no badges. So maybe that does help, but at the end of the day, it's kind of irrelevant. Shamrock saying the audio sounds a little scratchy. That's not good. We'll pull the old Nintendo 64. I'm going to unplug the microphone. I'm going to blow in it, and then we'll see if it comes back properly. Is that better? How we doing? I am hopeful that that works. That's kind of the only trick I got up my sleeve to fix that issue. But that's usually what accomplishes the goal. Happy to see you, though, Shamrock. Welcome in. Raider Drew is asking Barkley and Bowers first and second round thoughts. Not bad. Not bad at all. Barkley's definitely a good first round pick, and Bowers, I would say, deserves a second round price. In the Subscriber League auction, Bowers actually went for a third round price, but I do think that Bowers probably went for a little too cheap. But here we are on the clock, and I'm going to go Jahmyr Gibbs. I'd rather be investing in Jahmyr Gibbs than CeeDee Lamb. I'm trusting my heart, drafting my favorite players today, and I do prefer Gibbs above CeeDee Lamb. I'd much rather root for the Lions than the Cowboys. Cowboys, oh God, they're going to be rough. Granted, with a worse defense, maybe their offense is even better in garbage time. I think they're going to lose a lot of games. Oh, God. I'd be very concerned if I was a Cowboys fan. You're already concerned regardless, but yikes. The Micah Parsons trade is just brutal for them. They might have like a top 5 draft pick. They could really bottom out with less than 5. If that happens, it really wouldn't surprise me. I will be updating my win-loss picks and my Super Bowl prediction tomorrow. Spoiler alert. I think the Cowboys finished last in their division. I really think they are in the shitter after that trade. They've been in the shitter for a while. They're not, like, actually competitive. Not for a Super Bowl. They have one of the longest droughts in their conference for making the NFC Championship game. I believe since 1995, literally every other team in the NFC has at least reached the conference championship game, except for the Cowboys. Pretty brutal. But Bobby J asking, I'm torn. Do I trade the 101 and 12-team 2-flex PPR for the 103? The 2-3 turn worries me. You've asked me this question a few times, Bobby. I got to be honest with you. I wouldn't do it, but if you seem to be that paranoid about it, you've asked me like 3 or 4 times, then maybe just do that. I mean, like, if you're really that terrified, then go for it. But I wouldn't. The reason why is because I don't see a big difference between who you're drafting at 22 versus 24 and 25. And so, like, yeah, perhaps you miss out on Bucky Irving, but you still probably get someone like Josh Jacobs or, you know, Jonathan Taylor, most likely. And while that is a slight downgrade, you're also getting pick 25 instead of pick 27. Your third round pick is better. I don't hate it, man. I would just stick with it. But if you really are concerned about it, then go ahead and trade it. But I would not. I would just stick with the 101. Let fate decide how it works out for you. If you got lucky enough to get the 101, trust in the Lord, trust in the fantasy gods, that you're going to make the right decision, that you're going to get the right players to fall to you. Arturo wanted us to draft CD. I'm sorry, man. Sorry, bro. I do rank Gibbs above CeeDee Lamb. And also with the Bijan right tackle injury in Atlanta, there's an argument that Bijan is no longer the running back 1. There's an argument that maybe it's Gibbs or maybe it's Barkley or maybe even McCaffrey. It's maybe more of a toss-up. I'm very happy with Gibbs. Bobby J saying regretted taking both Sutton and Ridley over DJ Moore. I wouldn't. I'm a little worried about DJ Moore this season. Mike Evans goes at 21. Don't see that very often. That's kind of interesting. I'm going to go T. Higgins. I do like T. Higgins. Actually, no. We're drafting my favorite players. Whatever. Last second, almost put Ladd up at the top. Is the audio still bad? Shit. I thought we fixed the audio. That's not good to hear. I'm sure it's not good for you to hear either. Shit. Let me make this pick and then I'll try and rig the audio one more time. Better fixed. Okay. If the audio is bad, please somebody else tell me. Shamrock says it's better now. Okay. Good to know. And then with Evans off the board, really my favorite pick in this round would be JSN and Adams. But I'm going to go Lamar. Never hate drafting Lamar. I'm never mad about it. Okay, let me silence my phone. Getting a lot of notifications right now. That's what happens when you're in a group chat and you still have your draft yet to take place. I'm drafting in a full PPR league on Monday night, and I actually did pull the 103 today in our randomizer. So this is actually very good practice for me, drafting at the 103. Strategy is obviously a little bit different here. It's a half PPR setting on Underdog, but regardless, being at this position, at least early in the draft, things are kind of the same no matter what setting you are in. But I'm going to get the pipe ready. Jetta's asking, I've been asking everyone if I should start Egbuka or Pearsall at flex. Let me ask you a question. Are you more concerned about the Seahawks secondary versus Ricky Pearsall? I would be. I think Devon Witherspoon can potentially lock him up. Meanwhile, are you more concerned about the number 2 corner in Atlanta? I think Egbuka is going to have a better week 1 than Ricky Pearsall. I think the Seahawks matchup, that defense is underrated. They have all offseason to prepare. And I would say they're more talented in the secondary. Jesus, this group chat just won't shut the fuck up. Holy shit. I got to mute that. Pissing me off. Oh, okay. Sometimes you mute your phone, but you're not muting your notifications. That's what's going on. But Jetta's saying I definitely lean towards Egbuka. I think that's the right call. I trust Baker a little bit more than I trust Brock Purdy as well. And if you look at the schedule for the Bucs early on, there's actually some rough shadow coverage for Evans expected to happen. Like week 1, they get the Falcons. That's not terrible. But then week 2, they get... Remind me of the Bucs schedule. I know it's a kind of a tough matchup. Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Let me look at the Bucs schedule real quick. Okay, week 2 they get Houston. So Evans going up against Derek Stingley. That's going to be brutal. I definitely like Egbuka in week 2. And then week 1, Devon Witherspoon, also a tough matchup for Evans. The Seahawks have good corners across the board. But Devon Witherspoon, definitely a tougher matchup for Evans. So I would go with Egbuka week 1 if you're deciding between the two. Granted, I'm extremely committed to Egbuka. I have to believe in him based on my roster construction in the subscriber league, but I will go Kenneth Walker here. I do have Walker in kind of a tier above the rest. I'd rather have Walker than Breece Hall. And although I have 2 running backs with a week 8 bye, I'm not worried about it. We'll be grabbing a receiver at the next turn and then probably double tapping that position at the next turn. And with Jamison Williams off the board, there's kind of like a tier of similar players that I'm comfortable with like any of at pick 51. I have some preferences, of course. Like I obviously have rankings for who I want the most, but I'm not super upset if the guy I rank the highest is sniped for me. They're still kind of all in a similar range. But Devontae Smith goes off. That is who I rank the highest. The upside he has if A.J. Brown ever goes down is absolutely top 10 at the position. So that is one factor I have that gives him a tiebreaker. And then here, I really do rank Egbuka the highest, so I should probably just do that. The name of this draft is Drafting My Favorite Players. And the nice thing about the pointer is that it's not Best Ball Mania, and I can actually draft Egbuka where I want to take him and not worry about all the teams that were taking him in the 80s and 90s back in May and June. Egbuka used to be an 8th round pick. However, the pointer has only been open for the last week or so, and Egbuka has like consistently been a 5th round pick overall. So happy to take him. If anything, maybe it's more unique to grab him on this side of the board because he usually goes like past pick 56. And he's more so in the late 5th round. But no real difference to me. Very happy with Egbuka. Yeah, I would say Pearsall has the much tougher matchup week 1 than Egbuka. But Adrian Beatyerson, oh God. Bro. I noticed AP on the fuck, bro. Diabolical. Hampton, Brees Hall, Cup start 2 in the flex. Jets get the Steelers, so Brees might take some revenge on Rodgers in that matchup. Cup will get the Niners' brutal secondary. I think Cup is actually a pretty sneaky start, but I don't think I could bench Hampton. And then in general, I would like to be starting the running back above the wide receiver when you have a top 20 guy like Brees Hall. So I think I would be benching Cooper Kupp. I think based on where you drafted those players, that's definitely the right call. You're much more invested and committed to the running backs you drafted in the early rounds. I will admit, though, Kupp, I think, has a very, very appealing matchup week 1. I don't fear the Niners defense this season at all. And as long as Kupp is healthy, he is valuable, you know, like he's not a scrub. It's just a question of how long will his body hold up. I think I'd be benching Kupp, but it'd be tempting to get him in the lineup for sure. I don't think I would do it. I think I'd just roll with Hampton and Brees. But not going to lie, I'm a little bit worried about Hampton in the Brazil game against the Chiefs defense. Chiefs have a great run defense. I could easily see Hampton looking really underwhelming week 1 just because the matchup's so difficult. And a lot of people are trying to, you know, sell Hampton after week 1. Like, I could see Hampton look like he's not worth a 1st round pick against the Chiefs just because that matchup's really, really tough. But I think I'd roll with him. I don't think I would hit the panic button just yet. I also would not trade him away just because he has a bad game. If anything, if I didn't draft Hampton, I'd be trying to trade for him and acquire him after a bit of a dud week 1. Jettison, I'm probably going to flex Ridley week 2. Shamrock asking, oh, I'm on the clock. I am on the clock. Oh, wow. Oh, Dunze falls. However, I do rank Golden above him. And I also get some week 17 correlation between the Packers and Ravens. So even though I kind of feel like that's a bit overrated, the Ravens secondary is also extremely scary in terms of matchups at corner. I will go Golden. I trust my rankings. I prefer Golden over Odunze this year. And who knows? Maybe he falls another 3 picks and I get him at 75. I doubt it, but someone just took Addison above him. It could happen. Someone took Pollard above him. It could happen. But back to your question, Shamrock. Who is your highest drafted percentage wide receiver? It is by far and away Jaden Higgins. Oh, please let Rome fall one more pick. Please, Team 2. I doubt it. Can't imagine it happens, but yeah, that was so close. Bummer. Didn't expect it, though. Would have been kind of shocking. And in this case, we'll just grab some receiver depth because I kind of need it. Juwan is rather risky, but at some point, his contract will get resolved. I think that's what's holding him back. I don't think he's like actually like needing to go on IR. I think they're just saying that to call his bluff. That's my gut. He hasn't practiced in a while. The vibes aren't great. It could be bad, but you're also drafting players for the end of the season. All the money is made in the fantasy playoffs, and Juwan Jennings does have very high upside at the end of the day. The Niners offense is pretty good. It would have been awesome if I got Rome there, but sadly we do not get him. Had to pick between Golden and Rome. Went with my favorite, Matthew Golden. Bobby J, you got 3 drafts tomorrow. Good luck, bro. Wish you luck. I hope everything falls in favor of your team. Get some good values across the board. Adrian is asking, what do you think of my squad? Jalen Hurts, CMC, Bucky, Justin Jefferson. So running back is elite. QB1 is elite. Wide receiver 1 is elite. McConkey, wide receiver 2, that's elite. Kelsey kind of scares me. In the flex, you have Breece Hall, Hampton. That's dope. Bench, you have Cup, Dobbins, Downs, Juwan Jennings, B-Rob. Love that to pair with CMC. And then you also have Caleb Williams. I think tight end is the only thing I'm worried about. I would like a backup tight end on this team. And perhaps Downs is not critical to roster. But Kelsey's probably going to be fine, especially to start the year while Rashee Rice is injured. I wouldn't have a concern with starting Kelsey. I think as the season goes on, though, he turns 36 in October. Are they really going to force feed him targets like they have in the past when they're expected to be a playoff/Super Bowl contender? I'd worry about it. I think you should monitor the waiver wire at tight end. Otherwise, I think the team is fucking awesome. I think the team is dope, Adrian. So for tight end to be the only concern, you're in great shape. And at the end of the day, I am a Chiefs hater. So that's the main reason I don't like your tight end. I do not like the Chiefs and definitely do not like Travis Kelce. Have I ever done any fancy punishments ever? No, I've never played in a league with a fancy punishment, and maybe I'm missing out, but honestly, I feel like finishing in last place is embarrassing enough. I feel like that's a really legitimate punishment. Like, you already lose your buy-in. You already look like a dumbass for finishing last. I think fantasy punishments are kind of unnecessary. Like, fantasy punishments feel like when you're like rushing a fraternity and they make you do senseless shit just because they had to do that when they were rushing, and the only way for them to feel better about it is to laugh at somebody else's pain. That's what I think a fantasy punishment is really like intended there. Like, I don't see the point of it. I think it's really unnecessary. But Jaden Reed has fallen. Usually I go Higgins here, but given I have Golden, I'm going to go Jaden Reed. That way we can set up a Jordan Love stack. That feels pretty good. We got Lamar, Jahmyr Gibbs, Kenneth Walker. Wide receivers T. Higgins, Egbuka, Matthew Golden, Juwan Jennings, and Jaden Reed. I have a shit ton of Jaden Higgins, so I'll take the excuse to pivot off of him for once. A good discount on Jaden Reed here. Still valuable, even though the walking boot is definitely a red flag. Absolutely a concern, but in best ball, I like him as a good value because he can still drop like 30 points in a given week, and especially in the fantasy playoffs, that's huge. Question here is, what do I do at running back as it dries up? The position really, really got dry in round 8, so not going to do that. Instead, we could go tight end before it falls off, but I think I'm going to push it. Nah. I'll slot in Tucker Kraft there. Last second. My heart says go Jaden Higgins, and maybe I should have done that given the title of this live stream is Draft My Favorite Players. However, since I went Jaden Reed and I've been noticing the price increase on tight end a lot lately, We will take Kraft and we will set up that Jordan Love stack. I do think the Packers offense is valuable this year if you have the right pieces. Obviously, Jacobs is a piece you want. Matthew Golden's a piece you want. And then Tucker Kraft, arguably more coveted than Jaden Reed, but in general, tight end is just kind of hard to come by in the late 10th round anymore. And there's a big tier break at the position. So knowing that that's going to happen, I'll pass on Jaden Higgins. But the team that gets him here in the 7 slot at 103, what a good value. Damn, that is nice. But that team only has one running back. I'm not that envious of that team with the double tight end strategy of Warren and Laporta. I understand taking Tyler Warren at this price now. He's looking like a great pick. And then to pass on Laporta at pick 90 feels kind of naive. But in quite a hole for Team 7 there with only Chase Brown. Past pick 100. That's kind of tough to come back from sometimes. But not the end of the world. I only have 2 running backs, so it's not that big of a difference. But definitely feel better about Walker as my number 2 than whoever Team 7's going to get. Brian is asking Tet or Evans full PPR, high stakes draft, also Pacheco versus Harvey. I think Evans is still more valuable, but if you told me Evans, kind of dips down in terms of upside and gets hurt at the age of 32, it wouldn't be the most shocking thing. I do love Tedero McMillan, but I think Evans is in a clear tier above. If you were asking Tet versus Egbuka, I think that's a much more interesting question, and I think you could answer Tet if you really wanted to. But personally, I'm going to go with Evans. I trust Baker and the Bucks passing game more than I trust the Panthers passing game and Bryce Young. There has been like some elite value there, so if you really wanted to go Tet, I think you could make an argument for it, but I think based on what we've seen from Evans so far, he's just kind of money in the bank. The touchdowns really carry him, and I think I would still roll with Evans. But Egbuka could overtake him. It's possible. And with Thielen gone, Tet could really, really put up good numbers. I don't hate Tet at all. I would like to get both, but straight up, one versus the other, give me Mike Evans. And then you're also asking Pacheco versus Harvey. I think early in the season, Pacheco has more starting value, but as the season goes on, I think RJ Harvey is going to overtake him. I think the higher upside does land with RJ Harvey. Personally, I rank Harvey like 5 spots above Pacheco. I would go RJ Harvey. On the clock with the next pick, and the team that went Rome probably gets him for free here. But I might go Rashad Bateman. However, instead I'm going to go Cam Skattebo. The way that Dable grins whenever he's asked about Skattebo is kind of like, oh shit, this guy might be fucking awesome. Obviously Bateman made sense because I had Lamar, but not critical for my build. I feel like I have 5 usable receivers. 2 of them are risky, and Bateman kind of risky as well. My receiving core isn't great, so perhaps that should have been the pick. But somebody snipes me on Jordan Love. The fuck? They have Jacobs at least. That's a bummer. All right, fine. We will pivot. I kind of want to go Bashal Tootin, but instead I'm going to go Braylon Allen. Walker does have some injury concerns, and then maybe Breece Hall gets hurt or gets traded. I'm fine with Braylon Allen in the same range as Tank Bigsby. And the thing about Bashal Tootin is he's more of like a late season upside swing. I doubt he's like that involved the first 7 weeks of the year. And I already have Skattebo. Skattebo already is like the guy I'm hoping pops off late in the year. So I'll go Braylon Allen. I love both of them, but I think Braylon Allen's a safer pick. Tootin, though, probably has higher upside. Maybe that was the right call. You could go either way in this round. I think it's fine. But I decided to go with Braylon Allen. Although we did not get Jordan Love, it's not the end of the world because at the end of the day, I have Lamar Jackson. However, I was definitely setting up that Jordan Love selection. Didn't expect the team at 1, though, to grab Love unstacked. But he is stacked up with Jacobs, at least. At least there's that. But did kind of surprise me that team took Jordan Love. I am going to take a hit from the pipe. If y'all want to join me, I'll drop the intro. The stem pull is incoming. And speak of the devil, we do have somebody coming to say hi. Hello, Leia. Hello. Say hello to the people. Hi. How you doing? She's doing okay. I just fed her like an hour ago. I feel like she's noticed that when she gets antsy while I'm live streaming, I'm more ready to bend to her will and feed her with some treats. But I literally just gave her some like an hour ago. I'm not giving her more despite her demands. There's a limit to how much I can give her. We want to watch the figure a little bit. At times, she does abuse the treats. Adrian said I would have went Montgomery instead of Odunze. I think he'll score more points. That's a fair call, but personally, I don't really like drafting Montgomery on teams that I also have Gibbs, because to draft the handcuff in the 7th round is pretty expensive. And if Gibbs is like really the guy I need, then it's going to be at the detriment of Montgomery. So even though it's not a terrible strategy, especially in redraft, I think it's more comfortable. In best ball, it's just not my favorite thing to do. But if I'm this late on the chat, I'm really needing to catch up soon. Shit. I mean, Ayuk at pick 142. You know I have an Ayuk fixation. I'm gonna do that. I don't care that he's on the pup list. That's what I expected all off season. We have Juwan Jennings as well, so we're kind of just further committing in San Francisco's receiving core. And late in the year, the upside with Ayuk is undeniable. So 13 picks past ADP. He's already fallen further than where I think he should go at 129. I will take Ayuk. I'm not afraid to take him like everybody else is. Especially in best ball, where we need the upside at the end of the season. This is definitely one of my favorite picks. Drafting Ayuk is absolutely drafting one of my favorite players. He has burned me in the past, but then he's also made me look like a genius. Like 2 years ago, he looked so fucking good. And I've always been an Ayuk fanboy. But last year, he looked like shit. And this year, he probably doesn't look much better until at least like week 12. Okay, but I am on the clock. I'm going to draft Cam Ward because I need another quarterback. And right now I have literally no stacking options. But Cam Ward does have good back stacks available. There's a Yamanor I can draft later. Technically, I can also stack him up with Tyjae Spears if I want. But I definitely like the Yamanor upside. So I'll take Cam Ward. Okonkwo goes 148. That's interesting. Okonkwo has been steadily rising. I've noticed his price has gone much higher. I kind of understand the appeal, but is there like a news blurb on Okonkwo that I'm missing on the site? Or is it just reports elsewhere? No, they haven't updated Okonkwo's news in 2 months. So it's just other camp reports. But he was pretty valuable. Last year, I did start Okonkwo in the fantasy championship ahead of Jonnu Smith. I actually started him because I thought he was a safer volume play. And he actually was. The only thing is, like, I had both Jonnu and Okonkwo week 17, and I was riding Jonnu all season. Well, late in the season. I was streaming tight end earlier on. But that last week of the year, Okonkwo was getting like 10 targets a game from Mason Rudolph. And through the fourth quarter, Okonkwo had like 8.5 points all on catches and yardage, and Johnny was sitting at like 3 points. But then in the last like 4 minutes of the game, Johnny Smith scored a touchdown and he finished with like 10.5 points, and then Okonkwo had like 9. But in terms of like guaranteed floor and like a lack of variance thanks to the touchdown, Okonkwo I felt much safer starting. So I get it with Okonkwo. It's just kind of strange that it took such a long time for him to stream up the board so high. Adrian, a Charger fan as well. I'm excited for them. I think they can win in the Brazil matchup, but I think they're going to miss the playoffs ultimately. I think this year is a bit cursed once Rashawn Slater went down. Like Najee and his eyeball, that's not good. Rashawn going down, that's terrible. And then you also factor in all the travel that the team has. Like literally no team travels more than the Chargers this season. So as much as I love them, as much as I'm excited for them, I think they're going to be a 10-win team. And in the AFC, if you don't have 11 wins, I don't think you get in. So I think the Chargers will miss the playoffs this year, sadly. 8 Crazy Nights saying, would you drop Scatterboo for Ollie Gordon? I don't think so, but I understand the temptation. Ollie Gordon is like everyone's new favorite running back, but I think I'd stick with Scatterboo. Shamrock saying Mooney's back at practice. That's great for me. I have a shit ton of Darnell Mooney. Fantastic. 97 Ghost is a Panthers fan. Coker just got put on IR today, and Thielen is gone, so T-Mac is going to eat. I did not see that on Coker. Very, very relevant news. Thank you for the update on Coker. Actually, no, we're at pick 166, and my receiving core is a little bit shaky. I'm going to go Cedric Tillman here. Love the upside. I'm a little worried about Isaiah Bond and Harold Fannin, but I actually think Tillman could be more valuable than Judy this year. Mainly just because I think Judy might be so unvaluable. But I still like the upside with Tillman. And then the plan is to go with Ayamanor at the next pick. And that way I'll be done at receiver. That's my plan. We'll see if I get sniped. If not, I can always go Torrey Horton and feel good about it. We can also go Thielen and feel somewhat okay, but I think he's more of a floor play. Tesla is also really interesting. But given I have Cam Ward, the preference right now would be to draft Elik Ayamanor. I've got Lamar and Cam Ward. I can stop with those two. Running back is Gibbs, Walker, Scatterboo, Braylon Allen. I think I only need one more. Maybe Tajay can fall even further. But then at receiver, I have T. Higgins, Egbuka, Matthew Golden, Juwan Jennings, Jaden Reed, Ayuk, and Cedric Tillman. I think the variance with Tillman does not make me feel super comfortable knowing I have a lot of injury risk with Juwan, Jaden Reed, and Ayuk. And for that reason, I feel like I really need strong receiver here at number 8. So give me Ayamanor. I think in terms of like late round draft picks to start your season, I'd actually rather go Ayamanor than I would, like Dante Thornton or Torrey Horton. Like odds are you're not drafting any of them. But I did just pick up Ayamanor in the subscriber league because if he's going to be valuable, it's because he's the number 2 for Tennessee, and that starts instantly. Like everybody else is the number 3 in their offense. Like Torrey Horton needs Kupp to go down. Tesla kind of needs somebody to go down. So does Dante Thornton now that Cooper's there. And Ayamanor does not need that. He's not competing for Tyler Lockett targets. He's going to be the starting number 2 receiver. If he's good, he might be good instantly. And that's where I think he's like a good round 16 draft pick that you can acquire and then drop by week 2 if he looks like shit. If you don't have much patience, if there's like a really good option that reveals themselves on the waiver wire, at running back perhaps, I would definitely target them. Like maybe Woody Marks pops off with no Mixon. That's kind of interesting. But at receiver, I think Ayamanor might have a role instantly and might be really good and usable, like, flex consideration. Not someone like I'm locked into starting, but maybe usable pretty quickly. So I do like stashing a Yamanor, but I could definitely drop him for someone else if he doesn't do anything in week 1. He gets the Broncos week 1, so probably not going to do shit. But then I think he gets a good matchup in week 2. Let me pull up the Titans schedule. I think the Titans can win the division. He gets the Rams in week 2. That's going to be like a heavy garbage time type of matchup. And the Rams secondary is not like their strength on the team. Like their defense is more about rushing the passer than it is stopping the receivers. I don't fear the Rams secondary very much. And then week 3, the Colts, that's going to be dope. Week 1, though, at Denver, that's not going to be a good spot for them. Is it at Denver or is it versus Denver? It's at Denver. Yeah, fuck no. Ayamanor are going to look like shit week 1. But week 2 and week 3, I think maybe he looks much better. Adrian, is there a team I'm avoiding almost entirely in drafts this year? There's several. I do not want any Saints. Fuck that. I do not want any Browns in my redraft league. If it's the team I care about most, I don't want to have an excuse to watch Cleveland. If it's best ball, I'll take Tillman. I'll take Njoku. I'm willing to grab a Brown in best ball. But in my redraft, I'm not drafting the Cleveland Browns. Not at all. I will go Will Shipley here. A lead upside in terms of handcuffs. You definitely want the Eagles running back 1 if Barkley goes down. And I do not fear A.J. Dillon at all. So give me Will Shipley. Absolutely. And then my last 2 picks, my tight end situation is pretty bad. I only have Tucker Kraft. That's not atrociously horrible, but not the most exciting. And then if he's not getting sniped here, I'm going to go Harold Fannin for the upside. Really, really interesting reports on Fannin. Also, Njoku has kind of an injury bug. Njoku misses time. Jatavion goes, sweet. Harold Fannin it is. Give him to me. Harold Fannin with an elite college profile. If you have never looked up the stats on Harold Fannin Jr., prepare to be impressed. While the 40-yard dash is only 4.7, that's not anything to rave about. He's only 21 years old. He's 6'3", 241 pounds. For a tight end, that's not like super big, but it's also like not overwhelmingly like Darnell Washington, for instance, he was like this massive tight end coming out of college, and it was like, shit, what could he do? Well, he's only blocking. At 6'3", maybe you're not asked to block as much. So for the sake of fantasy, that's not bad at all. His speed isn't like elite. However, we got to scroll down, and this is what I'm talking about. Last year, in 13 games at Bowling Green, 117 catches, 1,555 yards, and 10 touchdowns at the age of 20. Now, Bowling Green obviously is not like the Big Ten or like the SEC. You know, it's not the same level of competition on a week-to-week basis. But 1,500 yards is 1,500 yards. I don't give a shit who you are. The potential there is super, super interesting. Elite upside might have no value just because it's the Browns and Njoku is at least starting the year above him. But I don't trust Jerry Jeudy very much. Tillman is a very interesting gamble, high upside gamble, but also a risky gamble. Isaiah Bond, it was an undrafted free agent, also getting some steam. And Harold Fannin reportedly going to be used quite a bit, like all over the field, even as like the slot receiver. So I'll go Fannin. I got to increase my exposure at least a little bit. But then this last pick, I think, is also going to be a tight end. There's definitely no floor with Harold Fannin. So I need somebody else. We have Tucker Kraft, so maybe I could get away with it. However, I'm a big believer in Theo Johnson's upside this season. I think Theo Johnson might be a very coveted tight end off the waiver wire this year, especially with Russell Wilson at quarterback. Russell Wilson made Freiermuth a top 10 tight end last season. Russell Wilson has always loved to throw the ball to the tight end. And beyond Malik Neighbors, I don't really see a better pass catcher that they have. Like Wandale, I don't think is better than Theo Johnson overwhelmingly. He's getting much easier matchups than Wandale. That is Theo Johnson lining up against linebackers. Probably going to have much easier coverage than Wandale out of the slot. But Darius Slayton has a completely different role. I see some upside in the Giants offense this year. I think Theo Johnson at tight end, where the bar is low, is actually very valuable. So I like Theo Johnson quite a bit. I will take him here. And here's the full roster. I'm glad we have the elite quarterback with Lamar Jackson, because Cam Ward, not the best backup, but not someone I'm relying on at all. So I can tolerate the 2 QBs, especially with Lamar. We feel good about it. Running back, we got Gibbs and Walker. Please stay healthy, Kenneth Walker. That's all we need. If he stays healthy, he has top 5 potential. Scattaboo for late season upside. Braylon Allen for early season floor and also plenty of upside with contingent value. And then Shipley is the lottery ticket here. If Barkley ever misses time, we have just an elite option with Will Shipley. Receiver, a little bit dicey. We went with Higgins in the 2nd round, Egbuka in the 5th. Then took Golden and Juwan Jennings at the 6-7 turn. I got Jaden Reed to fall 9 picks, so I took him in the 8th round. And then Ayuk we got to fall 13 picks. I got him in, I believe, round 12. I also took Cedric Tillman in the 14th, Ayamanor in the 15th. And our tight end room has Tucker Kraft in the 9th round, pick 99, and then Harold Fannin and Theo Johnson with our last 2 picks. That's the team. High upside. I just need receiver to work out. As long as that works out, I think we're in great shape here. Would have been happy to have the Jordan Love stack. I think that would have been the best case scenario for this roster. But settling on Cam Ward, not terrible. And at least we do have someone stacked up with him, with Ayamanor. But one thing I also like is that Packers-Ravens matchup to close out the year, maybe as a shootout. Maybe Lamar goes ham, and maybe the receivers, at least one of them, is really valuable, and then the other 2 kind of carry me there. So not bad. Don't hate the team. A little bit risky, but overall I think we're in very good shape with this roster. Very happy with the outcome. Let's head back to the pointer. We'll hop in a little bit. Let me just catch up with the chat. I've been a bit slow with it today. Adrian asking which wide receiver 2 on their NFL team could sneak into wide receiver 1 fantasy territory. I think Egbuka could definitely do it. The Bucks passing game is elite upside, and it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility for him to overtake Mike Evans. I think Egbuka is this year's Brian Thomas. And then I also like Travis Hunter, but he probably doesn't sneak into like the top 15. Like if Travis Hunter's better than wide receiver 25 this year, I'd be kind of surprised, but I do think he'll probably hover around wide receiver 30. I also think that's kind of it. There's not that many other people I can think of. Devontae Adams. Yeah. Give me Devontae Adams as well in this conversation. The number 2 on his team that, based on touchdowns alone, could easily crack the top 10. Devontae Adams, for sure. Arturo says you like Amarian or he goes too high. I think his price is fair. I think 3rd round is totally fair on Hampton. I don't see a massive difference between him and James Cook and Kyron Williams. Even Travion Henderson, I view kind of in the same vein as Hampton, but I do have him at the top of that tier, and I do think his price is worth it. So I wouldn't say you're getting a steal when you draft Hampton. At the top of the 3rd round, it's kind of a high price, but I definitely don't regret drafting Hampton either. I think it's fair value where he's going. Shamrock asking, have I done defensive rankings? Those are available via the draft guide. If you want to purchase the draft guide, you can send me $10 on Venmo with your email address in the notes section. You can find the link on that in my $10 draft guide video. I posted like a 2-minute ad for that about a week ago. So if you do want to purchase those defensive rankings and all of my like overall rankings, you can purchase the draft guide. But on YouTube, I have not posted defensive rankings. No. Taylor is asking, I have a 10-man league with 2 flex spots instead of 1. Would you consider taking an elite quarterback in the late 3rd if available, or just hammer positional players? 10-man league with 2 flex spots. I think with 2 flex spots, I'd rather keep my options open. In a 10-team league, it's not that important, that critical to have the first quarterback off the board. So if you're in the late 3rd round and like Lamar is still available, then yeah, I would take Lamar. At like past pick 27, I think I kind of feel really compelled to take Lamar. So in a 10-team league, that's pretty late 3rd round. There's like a chance he fall to the 4th. If you could get Josh Allen, Jaden Daniels in the 4th, I'd probably do it. However, I don't think it's that necessary. If you're drafting at the top of the 3rd round, I would not take quarterback there. I'd push the position, especially with 2 flex spots. I'd rather have better depth, because at quarterback, if you're one of the last teams to draft him, you usually have some of the best odds of making the playoffs and advancing when it's all said and done. I'm still very comfortable with the quarterback late strategy. Taylor says, feels like the extra flex spot makes tight end less valuable. I would somewhat agree. I would not be trying to start a tight end in the flex. Like I would not be all of a sudden drafting Bowers and Kittle in the 2nd and 3rd round just because I have that extra flex spot. I don't think I'd want to do that very much. Tight end, you can kind of always push, but this year I do think having a top 3 tight end is valuable. I wouldn't want both, but if I could finish the draft with either Bowers, Kittle, or McBride, I'd feel really strong about that position. Because not having to work the waiver wire also frees up your bench. That's also valuable as well. You can use the waiver wire for running backs, wide receivers, quarterbacks, and even defenses. Honestly, having that open bench spot for a defense is actually super, super valuable. But 2 Mules in a Cart saying, how you doing, man? Just dropped in for a bit. Find your takes aligned with mine quite a bit. Hope I'm not just hunting for confirmation bias. Cheers. I'm glad you agree, bro. I try to factor in, being wrong on some things, but, I can't help myself but believe my takes are accurate if I do some level of research on them. But as long as they don't get hurt, I think all the players I believe in are actually set up for some level of success. But I'm hoping that my elite running back strategy is correct this year. It hasn't quite been the case the last few seasons, but I think this year running back could be really, really important. Like we saw what happened with Saquon and the Eagles. Having that elite running back really puts your team in good position, and that's why I think some teams might lean into the run game a little bit more. If you can control the clock, have an identity with the running back position, your team usually is a bit stronger overall and also a little bit better rested for the playoffs. And if your opposing defense does stop the running back, everyone's ready to contribute because they're kind of hungry with a chip on their shoulder. So I hope my running back strategy pays off. That's the only thing I'm like, as long as I get that right, I think I'm in really good shape overall in my fantasy approach this year. But last question before we hop in, which post-hype sleeper player who disappointed last year are you buying back into? Rome Odunze to a certain extent, but not as much as like some of the rookie receivers like Golden, and I guess Pearsall doesn't qualify, but Pearsall I think I'd rather have. Golden I think is really, really valuable. And then here, let me look at the ADP real quick. In terms of running backs, guys that disappointed last year that I'd be in on. Kenneth Walker. Last year, Walker was pretty disappointing because of the injuries. I do like Walker quite a bit. I'm not dying to invest in Breece Hall. He was a big disappointment last year, but I don't fully believe in him. As long as he's on the Jets, I think I'd be very worried about Breece Hall, honestly. And then in the top 10, I don't think there's really anyone. I mean, McCaffrey qualifies. I'm not afraid to draft McCaffrey at running back 4. At receiver, though, high-end guys are not really. I'm not in on Tyreek. I'm not in on Marv. I'm not in on Garrett Wilson. Other guys that disappointed last year. I'm not dying to take Pickens, but I think he'll be okay. Pickens overall wasn't great last year because of some injuries and Fields at quarterback. But is there anybody else? Waddle, I think, is kind of tempting. If I'm really correct that Tyreek Hill is that risky and not going to stay in Miami, then Waddle, I think, qualifies as well. Beyond that, I don't really trust anyone too much other than the rookies. So that's the last question. We will hop into the last pointer of this live stream. We're hopping into the 20-second pointer. I'll let you know in the chat when to join. So I'll give it a few seconds for the delay, but look out for that. Okay. One spot left, and it's full. All right. If you wanted in on this pointer, it is full. I would say I don't recognize anyone. So, if you are in here, let me know. If not, no worries. And while we wait, we did get the 12 slot. I remember we did draft 2 other pointers, I think yesterday, out of the 12 slot. So I'm actually going to pull those up and remind myself of which direction I went in, because I want them to be different. I want them to be different. ¿Dónde está the pointer? Here we go. Okay, so this team was out of the 12. We took Drake May, Love, and Stafford. Henry, Henderson, Mason, Braylon Allen, Algier. I also took Puka, Adams, Golden, DJ Moore, Jaden Higgins, QJ, Dontavian Wicks, and then Kraft, Hunter Henry, Terrence Ferguson. And then the other team had Brock Purdy, Trevor Lawrence, James Cook, RJ Harvey, Etienne, Braylon Allen, Najee. So didn't take a running back at the 1-2 turn. I got elite receivers in Thomas and Drake London. I also took Ricky Pearsall, Josh Downs, Adam Thielen, Ayamanor, Amari Cooper, Malik Washington, and AD Mitchell. I went overboard on receiver on this team. Shit. Why did I draft 9 receivers when I started Thomas and London? Okay, that's not exciting. Kittle and Tyler Warren. Okay. This team's not bad, but I think I went overboard on receiver. I should have grabbed another running back or quarterback. Oh, right. This is the team I got sniped on Daniel Jones with. Now I remember. Yeah, that's what happened. Okay. So at this turn, I'm going to go with a balanced approach. I will go 1 running back, 1 wide receiver, and I'm going to try and not take Puka, BT, or London, but I'll probably end up with one of them. Thomas, though, goes at 7, so I'll at least get somebody different than Thomas. And then I'm not going to take Derrick Henry. I'm going to switch off of Derrick Henry because we got him on another team. But Grigor at pick 5, you get Gibbs. Lucky you, bro. Love the value on Gibbs at pick 5. He's my 103. So love Gibbs past that point. Francisco asking, can you rate my team? Sure thing, man. Let me know who's on it. I'm on the clock, so I'll make this pick, and then we'll get to the comments. Oh, please give me Neighbors. I doubt it, but please give me Neighbors. Fuck yeah. Oh, yes. Love this. I will go Neighbors, and then I think I'll go Genty, but it's honestly kind of tempting to take Bowers. Angus on the podcast today was really talking me into Bowers, and I do get the Raiders-Giants matchup. I'm going to take Genty. Let's do it. Giants-Raiders still applies, and you can get really boxed out of running back, especially at the bookend. So I plan to keep it balanced. I don't like taking Bowers in the second for the sake of like how you build your team. Really, any tight end in the second round, I think, is a little too expensive. But I do think Bowers is a value once you hit pick like 21. So at 13, it's a much different argument. I will go Genty. Stick to my ranks. I'm not going to go crazy. Just for the hell of it. But Two Mules says, I think my biggest drafting flaw is I fade some guys completely, whereas you maxers will mix in guys like Shipley, whereas I will go all in on my faves like Monungai or Wicks. Yeah, I mean, I think it's all an argument of like, what percentage are you comfortable with? Because as much as I think this is a skill-based game and there's a lot of logic where when you make the right call, being right on that at an excessive volume increases your odds that much more. Like if you're drafting Kyron Williams and Puka Nacua in the 17th, 18th round, what was it, 2 years ago? You wanted to be doing that every single time. You wanted them on literally every roster so that you would advance as much as possible. But where risk factors in is injuries are random in football. Injuries do not pick and choose, and it's not something you can predict. So even if you're right for half the year, like if you took Godwin last year at 40% or higher, you were ecstatic through the first 7 weeks of the season. Then Godwin gets hurt and it's like, fuck. Even though I made the perfect call, it's football and guys get hurt. Like injuries are why I'm uncomfortable doing that. Especially late in like the last few rounds, like why not have more dart throws than just like 2 or 3? And even as much as I love Barkley, if it's a team that I'm not invested in Barkley, or especially if I like passed on Barkley earlier in round 1, hypothetically, then, you know, you just continue that argument. Well, why would Barkley not be a good pick here? Probably because he misses some time. Maybe he doesn't miss the full season, but perhaps it's in the fantasy playoffs. And even if Shipley means nothing to me getting to the fantasy playoffs, if I'm one of the few teams that does have Shipley and you need him, then I'm that much more likely to win. So I don't feel like you have to go with 8% everywhere. I think you should be making bold stances and trust them. But I think you should also factor in the percentage that you're wrong and the percentage that injuries happen, and it's to the guys that you like the most. So I'm not someone who's like, oh, I'm always drafting this player. I can't do it after a certain point. Like with Jaden Higgins, I think I'm almost like over 30% officially. And a month ago, I only had Higgins at like 11%. I just went ham on Jaden Higgins the last month of the summer. And I might be paying the price on that. You know, you have to factor in the risk level if it doesn't work out. Electric 9 receivers is crazy. Sometimes I can tolerate it, but on a team when I started London and Thomas, that was fucking stupid. We did ignore the position for a while in the middle rounds, but if you have London and Thomas, why the fuck did I take 9 receivers? Okay, I'm back on the clock, and one reason why I don't take Bowers there is because Kittle is going to be here. But we did have Kittles on a different team. Okay, I'm going to put Tet on this roster because I do still like Tet in general, and I used to take him like crazy, and then I stopped doing it for a while. But I'll take Tetero McMillan here just to have him. And then I do want Travion. Yeah, give me Travion. I'm very happy with Travion in the 4th. Anywhere in the 4th. Think he's more valuable than Kyron, actually. So give me Travion. I do have a lot of week 14 buys, 3 of them so far, but it's only 4 rounds in. It's not a problem. We'll figure it out. Francisco says, I got a 10-man PPR with Purdy, Chase Brown, and Irving. Love the running back core. Chase, McLaurin, Laporta. So very strong at receiver. Good top 10 tight end. 2 flex is Ridley and Flowers. Okay, so the only thing to factor in on this team is starting Flowers in the right weeks. Flowers is a player that will hit the ceiling and give you an automatic win because he's in your flex, and it's like that's the cherry on top. If you get 25 points in the flex, it's pretty hard to lose. However, Flowers can also ping pong up and down and also give you like a 4-point week. So that's the only thing to keep in mind. But I do still trust Flowers overall in terms of value. So as your flex, that's not bad. Just understand sometimes he may disappear. When he doesn't get a big target share, he has some really low end games. That's the only thing to factor in with Flowers. But otherwise, I think everyone you mentioned on the team, I'm really confident in. And for the only player I'm worried about to be Flowers, you're in great shape, bro. Love Chase Brown and Bucky Irving. That's dope. Anytime you have Jamar Chase, you're in a good spot. And then Terry, who you got in the 4th, phenomenal. Ridley, I assume, in the 5th. Yeah, it's a good team. I like your team, Francisco. Gregor also likes Gibbs over Barkley this year. Love that you got him at pick 5. That's dope. Michael Spinelli says 10 team. I'd take Bowers. You can do what you want, man. I'm a Kittle drafter this year. I planted my flag on Kittle, but not because I think he's better than Bowers. I just thought that going in the 4th round was a really valuable discount. Not getting much drop off in overall points. Last year, Kittle was the tight end 1, and I don't see his touchdowns going anywhere given the injuries in the Niners receiving core. Like the targets are going to be there for Kittle. If anything, the targets are going up for Kittle this year. They paid him. They gave him a big contract extension. He's kind of like the identity of their team, you know, like McCaffrey hasn't been there as long as Kittle has. And obviously McCaffrey has some injury risk. Kittle always, sometimes he'll miss a game or two, but he's like the true identity of the Niners offense. And to get him 20 picks after Bowers, that's why I'm not on Bowers this year. If Kittle was not there, like if Kittle retired, then I would totally be investing in Bowers and McBride. But I don't see much of a difference between those 3. Egbuka went 55, so not going to get our favorite guy, but that's okay. Connor off the board, I'm not upset about that. I'm going to go Travis Hunter for sure here. Falling 6 picks. I wish I took a little more Travis Hunter with confidence this summer. So I'll mix him in. I'm definitely putting him on the roster with 2 picks. And then it's between Golden and Pearsall. I'm going to draft Ricky Pearsall. But it's very close. Whichever one you want there is fine. Kind of regret passing on Golden, in all honesty. But we've been taking a lot of Golden lately. He was on our last team. We'll go with Pearsall. But Gregor wanted me to take Golden. I'm sorry I let you down. Michael saying Kittle is the number 1 wide receiver. Fair enough. Yeah, he's their top target. Electric, how much do you think it's luck-based in underdog drafts? It's definitely a factor, but at the end of the day, you still need to be drafting those players, and the odds that you luck into every single pick is pretty slim. Like, if you're bad at this, I don't think any luck can really save you. But there's always players that fall, and like the luck of just which pod you're in, you know, the randomness of the other 11 people that sign up for this draft the same time you do, that is where the luck factors in. Like, if I can be drafting with someone that makes a lot of bad picks, that's going to increase my chances. You know, like there was the infamous Gilbert Arenas situation earlier this summer. Like, obviously that's a better situation to be in than a lobby with nothing but red badges, like there are some lobbies that are much more difficult than others, and that's where I think the luck factors in. But who you're drafting and like who you're passing on, I think sometimes it's more important on who you pass on than who you are targeting the most. Because, oftentimes you're just going to take the top of ADP. Not necessarily, not all the time. I definitely don't do that all the time. But like when I took Travis Hunter there, he fell 6 spots at the top ADP. I feel like it's a very wise choice to pass on him. So anyone can do that. But getting in the lobby that has a bunch of people that let him fall further and further, that's where the luck factors in. Like once I drafted a puppy tournament, or maybe it was like a schnauzer. It was like a $5, $3 tournament. It was not a high buy-in. But this happened in like late June. I got Jalen Hurts at pick 65. I got Jalen Hurts at the 605. 6th round Jalen Hurts. You know how lucky you have to be for that to happen? That's where I think, those are the types of teams that have a big advantage, and it's because of luck. But for him to be there at 65 means I also passed on him at 56. There was a time in June when I was willing to pass on Jalen Hurts at 56. And I remember regretting it when it happened. I remember I got like a really good value on somebody that also goes round 4 at 56, and I didn't have like the setup for Jalen Hurts at all. I think I might have gone like trip running back on that team. It was something crazy where I had to be forced into drafting receiver and there was a really good value. So I passed on Hurts and I was like, wouldn't it be ridiculous if I got him coming back around? And it fucking happened. It was like, holy shit. I think my receiving core is good enough where I don't need one at this turn. I'm going to go with Tyler Warren because he just goes at this price in this tournament, so I'll take him. Looking like a very safe investment at tight end. And then I'll take a swing on Jordan Mason. I don't draft him like crazy, but I will take a swing every now and then. Especially as like running back is kind of dried up by round 8. We could have gone Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt here, but let's be different. Let's take Jordan Mason. I've been coming around a little bit on Jordan Mason as we approach the season. I still am concerned that as long as Jones is healthy, he's not that valuable. But the odds that Jones misses time is pretty high. Grigor saying too many week 14 buys for me. How many do I have? I have 1 at running back, 3 at receiver. At receiver, it's much more tolerable. I'm going to be drafting, 7 or 8 receivers. I'll at least have 3 eligible for week 14, but it is a factor. But definitely a reason why I probably should have taken Matthew Golden. Electric says, I wish I had a cupcake lobby. One of my drafts had Bucky Irving and Chase Brown go in the first round pick. Damn. That's a little high. Like, I get it if you just want to get your favorite running back, but that feels a little bit high for Bucky and Chase Brown. Zach Stevens, do you ever draft a guy based on his name? I mean, if you're named Chuba or Tank, you're practically born to play football. It factors in a little bit. Like, I like the hyphenated names that are like, I'll be honest with you. When I started pumping Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt back in May, there was a percentage of that was like, dude, this guy's name is fucking awesome. Like, that's one thing that I've noticed is fun about like having this channel and like talking about football. There are so many crazy names that like, especially if you give like the proper emphasis to, are just like so entertaining to say. Like, I remember Juju Smith-Schuster. Like, that was some of the major appeal of Juju in the early part of his career. Like, one of the main reasons why we hyped up Juju so much. Even though he was great, he kind of deserved it. He was top 10 alongside Antonio Brown that one year. Like, Juju was fucking awesome early in his Steelers career. But one reason why everyone loved him so much is because it was just so fun to say his name. Um, and Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt kind of falls in that category. Like now that he goes this high, I'm kind of like, I don't know if he's that good. He's definitely a good situation, but when it was round 17 and nobody else was taking him, and I had the excuse of grabbing Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, it does factor in just a little bit. It's a small percentage though. It's not enough to like guarantee I'm gonna take someone. I also liked his situation because I didn't trust Brian Robinson, and Eckler is pretty old, so could easily miss a lot of time. But if you're drafting a guy like Jordan Mason or Tyler Warren, like, you know, that's not factoring in anything. For the sake of names, I would have definitely gone like Charbonnet or TJ Hawkinson. We could go Evan Ingram here, but I don't know if I need tight end desperately. I'll take Drake May because he's my favorite quarterback left on the board. I also have Travion, so there is some stacking correlation. Henderson does catch passes. And then Darnell Mooney has returned to practice, so fuck yeah, we get Darnell Mooney. Happy to take Mooney at 109. Him and Jaden Reed, I think, are in the same camp where, like, the injury was concerning, but now they're starting to practice, so you can't be that panicked anymore. But the upside is literally top 30 any week, especially with Michael Penix throwing the ball. Darnell Mooney here, an obvious pick, in my opinion. So Mooney does not have a week 14 bye. We got Travis Hunter and Darnell Mooney in the lineup week 14. I'm not going to be that scared of 3 receivers with a week 14 bye, but it's relevant. I'll at least admit that, Grigor. Moving forward, I don't want more week 14 buys if I'm going to be thin at the position, but I think I'll get enough where it's not a problem. Electric, how much have you won on Underdog? This is my first year doing it. Been watching different videos, live streams, and I found your stream tonight. Last year, I did not break even on the tournaments. I did win some like player prop bets, like some, 5-pick higher, lower bets that kind of compensated for some of my losses in the tournaments. But I was 10 points away on one team from getting another $500. And had I got that 500, I would have been in the even, like barely plus category. So I've come close. I've had some better luck. In general, like on Underdog, I'm pretty close to even. I wish I have done better, in all honesty. I would say I've gotten more equipped at understanding this website and this format more over the years. Because when I first started drafting here, I'd never played best ball at all. A couple years ago, I was pretty brand new to best ball. Now, especially like seeing teams that have had good success and made it into the playoff structure, what type of teams are actually like in that conversation, I feel like I'm more experienced, but just because I have a badge, like, I don't know if I'm the sharpest drafter possible. My all-time winnings would not say that. So I could be better in terms of my career winnings. I'm not going to lie, just keeping it real. But in general, other than the year when I drafted Javonte Williams like crazy and he had a torn ACL, that was like one of my first years here on Underdog. That year, I lost a lot of money. Otherwise, I'm hovering around even pretty much all the time. And then my player bets, my player prop submissions, those end up kind of covering me on like any losses that I've had. Like last year, just one example, I had a $500 bet that cashed on a $5 entry because I bet on the Chargers-Bengals game, and the Will Dissly touchdown was like a 2.5 times multiplier. And it was one of the only games to score a touchdown. And I turned $5 into 500 on that bet. That was dope. But we do get Herbert to fall. That's pretty dope. If I did take, what's his name? Golden, I'd be taking Love here instead. But based on the rankings, I am very comfortable with Herbert. My running back core, I think, is fine, where I'm not going to take Mixon or Brian Robinson. I could maybe reach on somebody else, but I'm not dying to do that. And then with Drake May and Herbert, I kind of still feel like having another option is not that bad. I'm going to go Trevor Lawrence, because if Travis Hunter is like truly a stud, him and Brian Thomas offer like elite upside for Trevor Lawrence any given week. And he does get some easy matchups this year. Like the schedule for the Jags, especially late in the season, has some easy wins. Like I believe he has the Jets in the fantasy playoffs. He also has the Colts in week 17 when all the money's at stake. And who knows, maybe the Travis Hunter, Trevor Lawrence combo is what you need. I also have the Tyler Warren investment, so another week 17 correlation. I could see Drake May, Herbert, and Lawrence like easily rotating in a lot with each other. They all have very high upside, but also kind of low, unusable floors in best ball. So I think this is a team where having 3 quarterbacks is not a bad idea at all. So Herbert, just for the sake of value, there's some back stacks available. And then Lawrence for the Travis Hunter stack and Tyler Warren correlation. Paired with Drake May, I like this quarterback room quite a bit. I feel pretty strong about the quarterback room. Lauren, I'm new to fantasy. Why did you wait on the quarterback? Because I can feel comfortable about it, getting good values like this. Like, I am willing to trust that my research on the position is accurate. And as much as I think having that elite quarterback is valuable, I don't think it's 100% necessary. So sometimes you want a different team. The last one we took had Lamar Jackson on it. So I wasn't craving a second elite quarterback roster in this tournament tonight. And so I'm making this team different. And then I'm getting 3 guys that I really love at the position. I think Drake May is a really good value in the 9th, 10th round. And then Herbert fell well past ADP. I think Herbert is also in the same tier as Drake May. So I think a really good value here. And then Trevor Lawrence, I think, has the potential to be great, but the floor is pretty shaky. As the QB3, I'm not like trusting him too much. So it's just like a different strategy. Sometimes I'll go elite QB, sometimes I don't. And I feel confident enough about who I like at quarterback where if I do go late QB, I can pick the right guys, or at least give me guys that have like the upside to where I'm still comfortable with that risk. Zach is saying, is it wrong Egbuka goes so much earlier than Travis Hunter? I don't watch college, but I saw his highlights and he looks good. No, I think Egbuka is the real deal this year. I think if you want to take Egbuka in the 4th, it wouldn't be egregious. Receiver is so flat, and the Bucs offense is so valuable, especially at receiver. With the injuries to Godwin and Jalen McMillan, also Kate Otten, I think, just got hurt. And then factoring in that Evans is 32 years old, Egbuka played all 4 years in college, let alone for Ohio State, the wide receiver factory. He also holds all of the receiving records for the college overall. Egbuka's ready to play. Anytime a 4th-year senior comes out of Ohio State, they know what they're doing. Could definitely go with Joe Mixon, but I'm worried that he misses the entire season. I will take Trey Harris for the Herbert stack. This is where we have to take him if we want him. And then I have Tyler Warren. I can get away with just 2 tight ends on this team, so I think I'm going to pass on Hunter Henry. And instead, we need some running back value. I will go Najee Harris also for the Justin Herbert correlation. I will make 2 bets on the Chargers here. And Herbert is in the thumbnail, so that's also good vibes to have him on this roster. We want some stacks, and Najee's starting to practice. If Hampton ever does get hurt, Najee has a lot of volume headed his way. And there was a time when we were drafting Najee Harris in the 60s this summer. Before the draft, Najee went all the way up to the 6th round. He did plummet back into the 110s, and then once he had the fireworks incident, he was going as late as like pick 180 at times. Like I've seen Najee in the 180s plenty of times. But now that he's back on the field and practicing, he does have some role. He's obviously the handcuff and not much more. But to pretend like the Chargers' backfield is not valuable would be naive. And any handcuff at this price is all you're going to get. So give me Najee paired up with Herbert. He's not going to circle back 22 picks. I'll take a pair of Chargers with Justin Herbert. Zach Stevens says Hunter's highlights, I mean. Oh, Hunter also has pretty good highlights. I think Egbuka is going to be better than Hunter this year. But Hunter should probably be playing pretty well. There's slightly higher injury risk with Hunter just because he's going to be playing more snaps on both sides of the field at some point. We don't know exactly to what extent, but it feels pretty obvious. I'd be pretty surprised if it wasn't the case based on camp reports. Hunter's going to overwhelmingly play on offense compared to defense. If they're going to just sprinkle him in on one side of the ball, it will be lesser of an extent at corner as opposed to receiver. I think he's going to run 90+% of routes at receiver this year. So I trust the Liam Cohen system. I think Lawrence can sustain 2 receivers. They're both valuable. I think they both are top 30 at the position. But if I can only have one, give me Egbuka. 2 Mules in a Cart says I have a JCM at the 20th round in an early drafters roster, but because the football gods are cunts, I also have Judkins on that same roster. You know, you can't have everything. You can't have everything. But anytime you have JCM that late, you're in great shape. Electric dropped a sub and like. Pretty chill dude and know what you're talking about. Appreciate it, my guy. Appreciate it. Also had a bunch of Javonte. Oh, my God. I remember the confidence I once had in Javonte Williams. Man, that was probably one of the most like humbling experiences I've had in fantasy football. Being wrong about Javonte and then only being like saved because he tore his ACL. Like, that was the only thing that made it look like, you know, maybe it could have worked out, but oh God, he was so bad that year. Interesting to see Hunter Henry fall this late. Can definitely draft him on a team I have Drake May. Because it's pick 180 with my next pick. His ADP is 160. So he does get sniped. He does get sniped. And that probably helps me. My receiving core could use another option. I kind of want to go QJ, though. But I think because I have Trey Harris, I'll pass. I'll go Torrey Horton for sure. And then question is here, do we push tight end another round? Or do we grab running back? I think I'm going to grab running back. I think I'm going to pass on Mixon again. I think I'll go Keaton Mitchell, but let's see the entire position. I could also go Taj Brooks. I like Taj at this point. Giddens also valuable. But truly elite upside for Keaton Mitchell. I'll sprinkle in Keaton Mitchell. No one I'm drafting this late is someone I'm expecting to be in the lineup often. So just for the sake of upside, if he does crack the lineup, I would say the Ravens running back 1 has more potential than the backup Colts running back 1, or who's the other guy I was considering? Taj Brooks. Granted, the backup Bengals receiver 1, also very valuable. Taj Brooks, not a bad pick here at all. But I'll go Keaton Mitchell just to mix it up. Just to be different. We did pass on Derrick Henry on this roster because we had him on a different team. So following that logic, why would you pass on Derrick Henry? Maybe he misses some time. Maybe Keaton Mitchell does factor in a little bit. So just for the sake of exposure, I'll grab him here, but you don't have to if you don't want to. Zach says, I had this thought, maybe the commies got rid of B-Rob because JCM can fill both B-Rob and Eckler roles. Eckler and Rodriguez are there just as backup. Could be a huge role. I think your logic is sound, but you also have to factor in Deebo Samuel replacing Brian Robinson Jr. Deebo Samuel is going to be rushing in a lot of touchdowns himself. That is a goal line running back if I've ever seen one. And Brian Robinson, his main role last year was just a goal line running back. Like, if you pile up Brian Robinson's stats last year, like let's go to Pro Football Reference while we can. That's one thing I like about drafting at the turn on the live stream. I get a bunch of time to do stuff like this. So let's go to 2024, the game log on Brian Robinson. And let's take every single game. Let's not factor in injuries and snap counts. Let's take every single game. And what's dope about Pro Football Reference, they will give you a chart and compile the per game numbers. Rush attempts per game was only 13. That's not that high. That's not a lot of usage for a running back one. Targets per game was 1.8. So they weren't even giving Brian Robinson the ball more than 15 times per game. That's an average of 15.2 opportunities per game. That is easily replaceable. That's not like an elite option in your offense. And then his production was pretty ass. Only 57 rushing yards per game, 4.3 yards per carry, less than a catch and a half per game for 11 yards. Like B-Rob was only averaging 68 yards per game on 15 touches. That's nothing special. Where he was good was on the goal line. He had a total of 8 rushing touchdowns and no receiving touchdowns. 8 rushing touchdowns he missed 3 games. So 14 games, 8 touchdowns. His goal line role is really what he offers best. And can JCM fill that role pretty well? We saw Rodriguez and Jeremy McNichols fill in for him pretty viably last year when Brian Robinson was injured. And now they have Debo, and also they still have Eckler. So they have the depth. They didn't need him. Okay, I need a tight end. I'm comfortable with Jatavion Sanders, but is there anyone else that stacks up for me? Not really. Theo Johnson was already taken. So I like him and Terrence Ferguson this late. Shit, we get Taj Brooks. I did not want Taj Brooks. Fuck. Actually, that's not the end of the world. I kind of like that. It wasn't my plan, but I have 2 picks here. And I don't know if I need one of these receivers. So I will go Jatavion because now I'm forced into that. Tight end is Tyler Warren and Jatavion Sanders. Hope the young guys pay off. But our running back core is now like much safer with the addition of Taj Brooks as the 6th. I don't know if it was necessary for the sake of the build. Wasn't my favorite pick, but in terms of value, I think he's a good pick here. I almost took him instead of Keaton Mitchell, so I'm not going to cry about it. He was in the queue for a reason. I also still got Jatavion Sanders, but the only problem is, should I have taken wide receiver there? My receiving core is Neighbors, Tet, Travis Hunter, Ricky Pearsall, Darnell Mooney, Trey Harris, and Torrey Horton. I can get away with it, but would I have felt better with De'Ami Brown as opposed to Taj Brooks? Probably. I could have also considered some other guys like KLS in the Chargers offense, perhaps, with Herbert. But it's definitely not the end of the world. The upside for Taj Brooks, if he ever does get the start, is for sure higher than De'Ami Brown or KLS. You know, like they might fill in one random week here or there, but Taj Brooks could have like 4 games as the starter and be like, you know, a top 15 option at the position. So that's fine. Good value. I almost took him at the 16, 15 turn. We get him at the 17, 18 turn. So that's okay. Maybe I luck out. Maybe that was the right decision after all. He was in the queue, so not going to be upset. But we did have Grigor Dumont in at pick 5. He just finished his draft. So let's take a look at Grigor's team. No, with more picks coming, let's look at the board. So he has pick 5, goes with Gibbs and A-Chain. Hard to pass on A-Chain when he falls to pick 20. But the Dolphins scare me a little bit. I would probably have taken A-Chain there myself as well. Josh Allen, always a good 3rd-round pick. So no receivers through the first 3 rounds. It hammers that for the next 3 with Jamison Williams, Rashee Rice, and Stephon Diggs. A little risky there with Rashee and Diggs. But if Rashee has the elite upside that we kind of expect, then he's probably still a good pick in the 5th. Personally, I think after waiting so long, I might not have been willing to take that risk. But I'm a Chiefs hater. I'm against Rashi just in general. So that's just my bias talking. I would have gone Ibuka if it was me. But I still think you're in good shape how you started. Diggs, not a bad value there, given who was available. I think that was the right call. And then Mahomes at 77 for the Rashi stack. Not bad. Elite QB, though. Can sometimes be tricky. Let's see how you land the plane. You got Pittman and Jaden Higgins. Love the value on Jaden Higgins. Phenomenal pick there. That's clutch. Tucker Kraft, Dalton Kincaid for the stack. Like that a lot. Ollie Gordon, Ray Davis also for the stack. Love the price on Ray Davis. Damn. 13th round Ray Davis is dope. Jerome Ford could be the guy in Cleveland. Worth a swing every now and then. You also have Brashard Smith, so good depth with 6 running backs here and with some elite options. You also have the Ollie Gordon A-Chain handcuff. That's definitely a wise investment for sure. I like that strategy a lot. You also have Adam Thielen, Malik Washington, and Michael Wilson. Receivers all obviously, a little risky based on who you have. But I think you pieced it up pretty well. I think you had a pretty good roster, bro. I don't usually go elite QB, but based on how you figured it out, I think you did a really good job here. I like the team a lot. Also, Brashard Smith stacked up with Mahomes. That's a very sneaky stack. Brashard is a very good pass catcher. And if he ever overtakes Pacheco, Kareem Hunt's pretty old. If you're going to grab a Chiefs handcuff running back, personally, I'm in camp Brashard Smith. I think he's the better decision between the two, him and Kareem Hunt. Give me Brashard Smith. So I like the team a lot. I think it's really good. Love the JMO pick there. But, you did pass on Adams. I think I might have taken Adams over JMO. But I get it. The Stafford injury. A little risky there. But let me remind you of my full roster here on the board. My quarterbacks are Drake May, Justin Herbert, and Trevor Lawrence, and they all have at least one stack. Running back core is Genty, Travion Henderson, Jordan Mason, Najee Harris, Keaton Mitchell, and Taj Brooks. Perhaps given my reliance on rookies, I might be missing some points in the beginning of the year. But I think as the year progresses, I have some elite potential with everyone. And I also still trust that Genty and Henderson are going to be pretty involved week 1 and in this month of September. So I'm not that worried about it. I think the running back core is a strength on this team, given I have the 6 of them. And then receiver, perhaps a little thin with only 7, but we started off strong with Neighbors. We also have Tedero McMillan, Travis Hunter, and Ricky Pearsall. The value on Darnell Mooney, now that we know he's practicing, holy shit. I wish I was just taking Mooney every single time as he fell down the board. But love this price on Mooney. I'm glad it hasn't adjusted. So with him as the 5th, I feel pretty safe. Trey Harris for the Herbert stack, not bad. And then Torrey Horton, one of my late end flyers. I would have probably rather had an 8th receiver, but I think I can get away with the 7 I got. I think Mooney is super, super clutch on this team. But knowing Pearsall's my 4th, I think I'm fine. I think I'm actually A-okay with just 7. Tight end is Tyler Warren and Jatavion Sanders. Come on, Tyler Warren. Be the guy that everyone is saying you are. I'm worried about the quarterback situation there, but definitely the upside we're looking for at the position. I've heard some rumors that they might use him on some tush-push plays. Wouldn't that be insane if you drafted Jonathan Taylor and he gets vultured for rushing touchdowns, not by Anthony Richardson, but by Tyler Warren? That would be insane. But if that's going to happen, then yeah, give me Tyler Warren. Wayne is asking, do you like Travion Henderson or Montgomery PPR? Definitely give me Travion Henderson. Absolutely. It's not even the same tier, but like I got Travion like 11 spots higher than Monty. I'm all in on Travion. Plus in full PPR, Monty doesn't catch many passes. 100% give me Travion Henderson. Debo will steal carries from JD5. Yeah, Debo's going to factor into the run game quite a bit more than people assume. But Douglas says, is there any reason to not take Chase 101 in a 12-man PPR? No, I don't think so. I get it on the logic of prioritizing running back, but you're not getting anywhere near the same caliber receiver at the 2-3 turn, and you can still get decent running backs at that at that value. So I would still take Jamar Chase at the 101, especially in full PPR. But let me try and catch up to the chat while I can. Maybe we'll do one more. We only have 15 likes on the video. If we can crack 25 likes, I'll do a third draft. We got 36 viewers. I need half of you that have not liked yet to hit the like button, and then I'll do another draft. If you're enjoying and you've made it through the entire live stream, or at least just the last one, hit the subscribe button. And if you want one more draft, hit the like button. We need 9 more likes. We're already at 16 to do one more draft. If not, I will probably hit the hay. It is 11:11. I may go to bed, but I'll answer these questions before I do. And if we do crack 25, I will do another draft. But Douglas says everyone and their mother has Chase as the 101. I would go Jamar Chase. Wayne says Eckler will get kick return yards if your league rewards it. I'd be kind of worried about that for his health sustainability. I think y'all are having a conversation in the chat. Grigor says, thank you, brother. Love your show. Pleasure's all mine. Thank you for drafting with me. I think you really had a good team. Anytime you can start Gibbs at 5, you're in such a good position. Really, really fire start from you. And then Wayne, I think Warren is the new Taysom Hill. He'll probably throw 5 passes this year. If you get Taysom Hill from Tyler Warren, then that's the guy you need to win the entire thing. Quincy says Warren about to be a top 5 tight end. That's kind of easy to crack. Top 5 is like 9.5 points per game. If you can be top 3, that's where you're totally elite. If you can be Jonnu Smith last year, even tight end 4 with like over 11 points, that's what you need. But it looks like y'all came in the clutch. Y'all did hit the like button. We have 26 likes, so thank you, everyone, for letting me know you want another draft. And, okay, I will let y'all decide. Do you guys want a puppy or do you want a pointer? The pointer is $11, and I have one more entry in it, and I want to do it, but I don't have to do it on the live stream if I don't have to. I can also do a puppy if you guys want to hop in as well. The puppy's only $5. And then, are there any other tournaments worth getting into? I don't think so. Everything else is like for week 1. Yeah, Sunday main slate. Everything in the lower end of this is like not what we want to be hopping into. Quincy says pointer. And this thing is probably going to fill pretty quickly. So I do want to hop in with my last entry before it fills. I'll probably do the pointer unless all of a sudden like 10 of you spam the chat with puppy. I'll give it a few more seconds. But as always, I'm going to drop when to join in the chat so you can time it with me. I've adopted this the last like week or so. I saw Fantasy Football Garage on his live stream do it, and it's definitely probably a safer way to sync it up because the chat is 100% live. Meanwhile, the stream is on a delay. So if I tell you in the chat, you'll know exactly when I'm about to hit the button. But no one's lobbying for a puppy, so we will do the pointer. I'm not going to wait any longer. So I hope y'all are ready. If you want to be hopping in, it's my last pointer entry. There's a maximum of 7, and this is my 7th. So hopefully I get a different pick, but look for the join now button. It'll be dropping in about 5-10 seconds. All right, let's hop in. Four spots left. If you want in, there's still 4 spots remaining. While I can, I'm going to go get some water. I will return and should be back in like 30 seconds.
All right. Still one spot remaining. Let's go. I got some lemonade. Always refreshing. Love lemonade. Zach says if you take Chase first, load up on mid-range running backs. There's some solid ones that go in the 5th, 6th round. I would definitely agree with this statement. Either grab 2 that you really like at the 2-3 turn, or just grab one of them there and then take another at the 4-5 turn. And then if you get a good value at the 6-7 turn, that's also worth grabbing. You can still have good running back depth even if you take Jamar at the 101. He's such a difference maker at the position. I think he's worth it, especially in full PPR. Somebody says hi. We do get the 105. That's a good spot to be in. Usually get a really good value at the 105. But hello. It's pretty late. She's kind of tired of the bullshit. What I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off the light behind me so she can go to sleep more. Hello. Oh. I turned off the lights. I turned them off. I'll turn this one off too. Okay? The color temperature's kind of gross. Okay, we are back. That lobby is live. Pull the 105. Currently, Jamar and CeeDee Lamb are off the board. And I am on the clock. And Saquon's there. Let's go Saquon. That's fine. We got some teams in this lobby with other running backs, so give me Saquon. No issue at the 105 there. The shadows are kind of harsh without this second light. Let's maybe bring that back. Okay. Say hello. Say hello. That little kitty cat. I know. Okay, let's do it. Let's do it. Okay. The cat got her a little extra feeding time. I don't know if y'all live in Southern California, but the heat wave has been brutal lately. Last couple weeks have been rough. I needed to turn the fan on. It's getting hot in here. But Zach asks, is only having 4 running backs going to be a problem for me? Not really. You can work the waiver wire. Like, there's going to be some options at running back over the course of the season. Just make sure you pay attention to the waiver wire. Even if you don't need to start them, I would be picking up some of the handcuff running backs that start to emerge as the season goes on. I would not be afraid to pick up random handcuffs just to have. You can definitely get away with just having 4 if they're very talented 4. But I wouldn't panic just because you have 4. Michael's asking QB heavy points in your 12-team league. Daniels for 8th or McBride for the 4th? I would go Daniels for the 8th. I think they're both 3rd-round picks, so give me the better price on Daniels. Zach here to hang more than to draft, so no problem on that. I am on the clock. We almost got AJ Brown, but on this team, F it. I will go Bowers. I kind of talked myself into it the last time we passed on him. Angus also talked me into it earlier today. If you watched the podcast episode, Angus loves Bowers, my best friend who I have on the channel, especially to talk about the subscriber league. I should have brought him on sometime this summer, but we just didn't have a good time to do it. I was pretty busy, and sadly, we did not get Angus's full bevy of takes before the draft. But had we had Angus on, maybe I would have been taking more Bowers. I think he's the 21st overall pick. So even though I could go in a different direction, I don't have a wide receiver ranked above him. And I already have Saquon. So instead of going double elite running back, let's mix it up. Let's go with Bowers. Be a little different than I usually am. Quincy, are you in this one? I didn't notice. Yes, Severe Jury is in here at 2. I almost didn't miss you, I almost missed you, Quincy. Let's go. Happy to see you. You go CD, Jacobs, and Lad McConkey. Balanced start. Not bad at all. Trey McBride goes, and can't say I love some of these receivers. I don't think I want elite QB with elite tight end. I'm going to go Hampton, and then we will grab another running back that I like. Give me Omarion Hampton at pick 29. I do think he's a 3rd-round pick. I think he's fine anywhere in the 3rd. So the 5th pick, Saquon, Bowers, Hampton. I like it. But we're going to be hammering receiver for at least 4 straight rounds, if not more. So that's definitely the direction I'll be going in. I doubt I'm taking Jalen Hurts. But it might be tempting at pick 44, even with Saquon. Maybe a little tempting. Gregor, I did notice you at pick 8. You had Nico Drake London, and you just take Lamar Jackson. So the opposite strategy, going wide receiver heavy with elite QB. I go running back heavy with elite tight end. We'll see how that balances itself out. Zach says cat is pissed. Yeah, sometimes she's a little bit of a bitch sometimes. But it's been a while since I've given her a snack. I feed her like a full can around like 4 p.m. and then around like 8 p.m., give or take, I also give her like another handful of treats, like a dry snack. And now that it's after 11 and she definitely wants to go to bed, like in part she's complaining about the lights, she's also complaining about being hungry. And so the combination of the two, she's going to let me know. She's got some dope color patterns. She got some stripes and then like the spots on like her side. I think they're called like florets, but she got a combination of stripes and spots. She's gorgeous. Fancy Dog in here, number 28 like. Thank you very much. Have to keep refreshing my YouTube feed and you finally showed up. Glad it popped up, bro. Happy to have you in here. Finally cooling down. It can't come quick enough. Granted, I can't really complain. The summer in Los Angeles, up until the last 2 weeks, has been one of the mildest I can remember. But I'm either getting JSN or Devontae Adams here Please give me JSN. Holy shit. Phenomenal value. I'm so glad I passed on receiver in the first 3 rounds. Damn. Y'all are fucking up here. Leaving me JSN in the 4th at pick 44. His ADP is 31. 31.9. I get him at 44. Holy shit. That's dope. I love JSN this year. I think he's one of the safest picks in the 3rd round. Ecstatic about that. Gregors, your studio's also hot as fuck. Yeah, it's the dog days of summer. It makes sense. Late August, that's what you're assuming it's going to be. Pretty uncomfortable. But are y'all summer fans? It's not my favorite of the seasons. I'd rather it be cold than like excruciatingly hot. I'm more of a winter person than summer. But if your answer on like which is your favorite season is not spring or fall, like that's kind of a strange answer. Team 10 is looking great. After this pick, I'll take a look at Team 10. But Jalen Hurts does go. So that kind of saves me. I need receiver for sure. And we're going to grab Igbuka. Actually, maybe I go Devontae Smith. No, I'm going to be fully committed to him. Let's go Igbuka. We are drafting my favorite players at the end of the day. That is what the title of this live stream is. What is it Rye doing? I'm not sure I understand the question. Anyways, we heard that Team 10 is looking great. Oh yeah, Team 10 is phenomenal. Oh fuck yeah. I didn't even notice Team 10. That's why JSN fell so far. We got a great draft companion in here. Goes Joe Mixon in the 1st, Brian Robinson Jr. in the 2nd, Kyron, and then Breece Hall, Ricky Pearsall. So the last 3 rounds have made sense. The first 2, hopefully doesn't get this draft thrown out. I think we'll be okay. I'm willing to hope that this is just one of those lucky lobbies. Like we were asked earlier in the stream, how much of a percentage is it just luck on Underdog? Some of it is being lucky enough to draft with Team 10, Rye Guy 82, doing us all a favor. If you want to grab $11 in your bank account and put it in the shredder, be my guest. If you want, you could just mail it to me. I'll ship you some stamps. I'll take the $11 straight up. Maybe I'll just Zelle you the postage. You can buy the stamp, but I'll take your $11 happily. That's fantastic. Thank you, Rye Guy, in at pick 10, giving us all a little extra hope. But desperately need receiver, and we were in this situation previously, and I went with Golden. I'm going to do it again. Should I? Fuck. Yeah, I will go Golden. There's far less of a target share competition in Green Bay than there is in Chicago. There's just way more mouths to feed in the Bears offense. Their passing game is a lot more crowded than Green Bay's is. And it used to not be the case. It used to be Green Bay is extremely crowded, but with the Christian Watson injury, with the Jaden Reed injury, with the Romeo Dobbs lack of confidence, Golden is like reportedly overwhelmingly the wide receiver 1 in Green Bay so far this summer. Like it's not even close. And given those other guys missed some practice time, it makes a lot of sense. But they drafted him round 1. They need him to work. They need that pick to look good. McConkey in the 3rd. I mean, what's the difference between pick 22 and 27? It's not that big of a, it's the 2-3 turn. It's all kind of the same, but I see it that way. I think Ladd's more of a third round pick than a second round pick. Once Keenan got there, it got a little crowded, and then once Slater went down, that's not ideal for anyone. Their offense is still going to be good. I'm still fine taking him, but just a little risky. More of a third rounder than a second rounder. Not going to go tight end with Laporta, that's for sure. I could go Jawan, I could go Shakir, I could go David Montgomery, I could go Josh Downs. We go Jawan Jennings. I don't know. He's definitely risky, but like just grabbing a Niners receiver, I think is fair game. Just for the sake of having a different team than the one we drafted earlier at pick 3, I did end up with Golden and Juwan at that turn. So maybe I should have taken Rome just for the sake of it, but I'm fine with Juwan in the 7th. All the receivers in round 7 have some red flags. He's got a lot of upside. And then, just because the night is coming to a close, if y'all are ready, if you got something to spark up, go ahead and smoke it if you got it. I will drop the stem poll right after I just pack down this bowl of mine. Cheers, everyone. Oh no, it's muted. Always nice. But we are coming around the turn, so let's scroll down a little bit. Zach says Hampton's a bust. I don't think he's a bust. I just think there's a world where he doesn't look good in certain matchups. But I do not think he's a bust. Yeah, as a kid, it's fine to love summer because you don't have school. It makes sense to like summer as a kid. But as an adult, when you have to go to fucking work and also deal with the heat, you can't just take a nap and hop in the pool all day or go to the beach with no concerns for your schedule. Summer pissing me off. Why is it so fucking hot sometimes? But I live in LA. The weather's not something I should complain about ever. Weather's like the only positive about living in LA. Other than my family. But weather's overrated. Yo, the cat, not happy. We will get my boy here. We will go Jaden Higgins. Not going to pass here when my receiving core needs some work. Hyper reliant on rookies, but I don't give a shit. I think rookies are the path for success, generally speaking. We have Hampton as a rookie, Igbuka as a rookie, Golden's a rookie, Jaden Higgins a rookie. Half of my first 8 picks are rookies, and I'm not upset about it. We got Bowers and Barkley, Hampton as the RB2, and then the full receiving core is JSN, Igbuka, Golden, Jawan Jennings, and Jaden Higgins. Yo, that JSN price is so fucking clutch. Oh, maybe I should have taken Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt there. I've kind of forgotten about him as an option sometimes. It's still kind of shocking how early he goes. Dobbins here, not bad. But I don't have a quarterback yet. We don't have Mayfield to stack up. I can go Jordan Love at the next turn. I can also go Geno on this team. I'm going to take Dobbins. We haven't taken a running back in a while. And Dobbins does have some pretty high upside. He'll start off week 1 as the RB1, but I think he'll lose that job pretty quickly. But if you told me RJ Harvey ever misses time or just doesn't pan out, then Dobbins was a top 20 running back last year. Dobbins has very valuable upside. In best ball, I'm a little more comfortable with it, but in general, I don't take Dobbins very often. I kind of regret not grabbing JCM at 92 because I have seen Higgins fall into the hundreds a few times now, and maybe I should have just let that gamble happen. Or I maybe should have just taken Baker Mayfield to stack up with Igbuka. That would have been nice, but I can always get Geno. I can always get Darnold late. I can also get Love on this team, Stroud on this team. I have multiple stacking options remaining. It's not the end of the world. JJ goes 102. That's pretty high on McCarthy. I think the Vikings are going to regret passing on Darnold. I can't envision the Vikings win 14 games again. I don't see it. Not with McCarthy. As a rookie, fuck no. I think he might look good early in the year when nobody has tape on him. He also gets some games in Dublin and London that are definitely in their favor. Like, they get the Steelers in Dublin. There's too many veterans on the Steelers for that travel to be good for them. Then they stay in that time zone for the next week in London against the Browns. They're going to win both of those games in Europe. But I don't think those games actually mean very much. And other than like some matchups where nobody has the film on McCarthy, so there's like the element of surprise, I think they're going to look really bad really fast after the bye. I'll pull up the Viking schedule real quick, but like after the week 6 bye, the team is going to go on like at least a 4-game losing streak. They're going to suck for a while. I could go Drake May. He doesn't have to be stacked up. It's a big reason I like him. And this is by far the best quarterback value. I'll do that. I can't really stop drafting Drake May. He's like one of my favorite picks this year. Indeed, we are riding and dying with Igbuka. At least I am. Yo, Team 10. Is Ryan this chat? Honestly, since the first 2 rounds, Team 10 has done everything normally. Like, there's not a single pick that's strange other than maybe the Bo Nix reach at 82. Other than Mixon and Brian Robinson in the 1-2 turn, every other pick has been fair value. Like Kyron round 3, that makes sense. Brees in the 4th, that's usually where he goes all summer. Ricky Pearsall at 58, that's fine. Olave at 63, he's a 6th-round pick. Bo Nix usually a 9th-round pick, but to take him here with Laporta at 87, like, it's not that insane. And then he goes Kupp and Godwin. Like, everything since those first 2 picks has been fine for Team 10, but happy as fuck that situation happened. Because Mixon and B-Rob are not giving you anything, let alone, like, at ADP, outside 150. Damn, I was going to go Bishal Tootin there. Instead, we'll go Jordan Love for the golden stack. That was definitely a player on my list of names to target. We have different bye weeks, so technically we could stop at 2 if we really wanted to. But when I have Bowers, I'm going to stop at 2 tight ends, which means I can definitely tolerate a 3rd quarterback. When Drake May is my first on Underdog, I would like to have a 3rd most of the time. But Zach asks, how do you manage these teams all year, though, with no waiver wire injuries, ETF? That's what best ball is. You have no input on who makes the lineup. It's just automatically the highest score every week is in the lineup. So you never have to manage this league. You can just forget about it and just check on it until it makes money. But remember, only 2 of these 12 teams advance. 10 teams are not making money of this 12-team lobby. That's just how the math works. 10 out of 12 will never see any return on investment. 2 of them will get their money back and advance to the playoffs with very good odds at making the final. First prize gets 40K. So we need the highest upside possible. And we can check out in terms of like mental investment on this team once this draft is over. Yes, Shamrock answered your question perfectly. Zach says Bears don't have Keenan, though. Him and DJ both had borderline wide receiver 2 years. I understand, but they also didn't have Luther Burden or Colston Loveland, and neither of them were like that valuable last year. DJ Moore was like barely top 30 at the position, and then Rome was terrible, not even top 50. So there's not like the safest bet there. And then Caleb also like can easily struggle. You know, like betting on Caleb is not a sure thing. So with less target competition for Golden, I rank Golden higher. Elon asking, is Team 10 doing a little trolling? I mean, if they're trolling anyone, it's just themselves. Like, what do I give a shit if you want to make bad picks? As long as the lobby doesn't get thrown out, that's the only way that I'd be upset about it. But I'm going to operate that it doesn't get thrown out and accept that Team 10 is paying the rake. Michael likes Judy with Flacco. Bold call there, Michael. I think I'll go Josh Palmer. Some really high upside in the Bills offense always. And I've seen Ray Davis fall. I don't take Palmer very often, but past ADP, I'm willing to grab him. I think I kind of need some receivers on this team. With Juwan Jennings, I don't feel great. And Palmer could score a lot of touchdowns in Buffalo. It's possible. So knowing I get the high spike weeks automatically, let's take a Bill. Always a wise offense to have as the tiebreaker in favor of when you have two players. Like, if you can't decide on a tier of players and one of them happens to play with Josh Allen, I would probably just take the guy that plays in Buffalo. Probably. That's why I have so much Ray Davis. Zach, you are incorrect here. Never owned a Prius. First car I ever bought was in a Isuzu Via-Cross. And if you know what that is, I'd be very impressed. Yeah. You better be just joking. Oh, are you referring to Rye? I think you're referring to Rye. Okay. Yeah. I remembered saying this is probably going to be a Geno Smith team, so I'm probably going to take him just to guarantee I lock him up. I could go running back, but I don't feel dying to do that. I used to really like stacking up Demario Douglas, but now I've kind of cooled off of it. It's not that valuable. Any of the Patriots receiver stacks are probably not that valuable. The one I think is most valuable is probably Travion Henderson. Because he can break open like he can score from anywhere. We saw him score on special teams. His first NFL touch in the preseason was a kick return touchdown. The dude is an elite athlete. Next up, I think it might be a tight end like Hunter Henry. And then obviously you'd probably rather have Diggs than anyone else. But Pop for the floor. Kyle Williams for the stash, but you can probably get him off the waiver wire pretty soon. I would expect whoever drafted Kyle Williams to cut him. I don't think he'll have any value early on the season. and there'll be better waiver wire acquisitions. Kyle Williams will be on the waiver wire. Maybe he pops after like week 10. They have a late bye, so it could be even later. Fantasy Dog asking, what are my drafting? I'm in my final pointer draft. This is my 7th entry in the pointer. So last one I can do. I think it's going to be the final draft of tonight. Leia's tired of my shit. I'm also kind of tired myself, and it's approaching midnight. So I think this is the last draft of the stream. Don't think I'll do a puppy after this. Elon says, I feel Golden is this year's lad. Yes, that was my comparison. I think someone asked me this a week or so ago. For Egbuka, I think he could be this year's Brian Thomas. And then I think Golden could be this year's lad in terms of the volume and like immediate number one status on his offense. Like that was the case for Brian Thomas, but like the unguardable aspect and like elite upside of the offense was like a factor that kind of doesn't apply elsewhere. Not going to take Bryce Young. We could go Kyle Williams. This league does not have a waiver wire. Fuck it. I've taken a lot of Demario Douglas when he was going at like this price specifically. Like round 14 and later is where I was scooping up a lot of Demario Douglas. Now Demario goes in the 13th and sometimes even the 12th. It's not as exciting when you can lock up a more valuable running back like Algier or even like Brenton Strange and Zach Ertz, I think are more valuable. But I kind of needed to grab a quarterback in my opinion, so we went with Geno. Interesting that Bryce Young falls past Joe Flacco. That's a really good value on Bryce Young here at 166. Not sure what Team 6 did with the Flacco logic. They do have Tillman, but yikes. And then we have Bowers, so I'll need another tight end, but someone took Dante Thornton, which means Amari Cooper is definitely someone I can queue up. If we run out of time, I'll go Amari, but my running back core only has 3 players on it. That's kind of bad, so knowing I'm not going to get a very like involved option, actually no. I was going to say I'll handcuff Saquon as like the insurance policy. Because sometimes I am pro handcuff if you're like hyper reliant on your high end guy. Like if Saquon ever went down, you know, this team might be kind of screwed. So getting the Shipley points in those weeks to fill in could be the difference between missing the playoffs and making the playoffs. Because if you crush this lobby, if you're overwhelmingly like the high scorer, that's usually how team 1 advances. It's like a big gap. But the way that team 2 advances is sometimes by like a very narrow margin over team 3. Sometimes there's a very small amount of points that distinguish second and third place in some of these 12-team lobbies. So that's why I think sometimes it's justified. But this discount on Tajay I think is too far to pass up. And I don't think I can take Shipley above Tajay. Just don't think I can do it. Even though Tajay has the high ankle sprain and is injured right now, it's about late season upside. I think he could still be really, really good. But it's risky. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Tajay could easily be a 0. So could Dobbins. Both for injury reasons. The cat's here. I'm glad I didn't take Amari Cooper because it looks like he's going to make it back to me. I don't want to jinx it, but we got 2 teams. I was worried about that one with only 5 receivers, but they go Troy Franklin instead. I will happily grab Amari Cooper if available. We have 3 picks left. I wanted an 8th receiver. It would stack up with Geno. We do get him. And the way he's talking, I think he might actually contribute a decent amount. Also, their defense is so bad that I think he might have a somewhat legit role. Amari Cooper is more talented than the rookies that are there that he's replacing. Like, I think as of today, I'd rather have Amari Cooper than Dante Thornton. So happy to get him at 188. We got 2 rounds left. He could absolutely be worthless. I'm not going to pretend like he can't, but that's the case with like every receiver this late. There's always like a chance that they do jack fucking shit. Running back, I like Taj Brooks here. I also like Brashard Smith. I will need another tight end. Ooh. Yo. I'd be ecstatic if I can get Isaiah Likely. Damn. Severe jury takes him. Quincy, good pick. Honestly, I probably should have taken Likely instead of Amari Cooper. Damn, that would have been fire. Awesome pick there. I'll take Brashard Smith. Even though it's tempting to get Jonnu Smith, seems like this lobby is passing on tight end for some reason in general, so I will skip him, and knowing I have Brock Bowers, I'll just grab my tight end 2 in the last round. Very, very little contribution needed from the tight end 2. But the perfect type of guy would have been someone like Likely. So much upside if he actually is healthy and takes over the job from Andrews, but to bet on that obviously is kind of a risk. He did get hurt this offseason with a foot injury. He might not be the same for a while. But I don't really think anybody else has the same upside of Isaiah Likely left on the board. He's such a unique best ball pick. Zach, sounds like you do know what a Via Cross is. Doug DeMuro's favorite car. I heard Butte is the wide receiver to own in New England. It might be Chisholm, though. It could also be Chisholm. Maybe I go Chisholm with this last pick. But no, I need a tight end. I only have Bowers. I need a tight end, too. Zach says Ibuka is this year's Puka. I would love it if he's Puka instead of Bryant Thomas. Because if you have not watched the Subscriber League auction draft, I am all in on Emeka Egbuka. Yo, the Via Cross has very loud exhaust. Via Cross is obnoxious. I still have it. I don't drive it anymore. I think I was pissing off a lot of neighbors. Also, it needs a little bit of work at the moment. But that thing like roars. It's only a V6, and it also has dual exhaust. Mine has a dual exhaust on it. I need like a specific muffler, actually. I need to specifically replace the muffler right now on the Via Cross. But I need a specific one that has 1 input in and then 2 exhausts out. Last time I took it to the muffler shop, they did not have it. I had to order it, and then I got lazy. I had some other things to attend to, so I haven't touched it in a while. I got to get back to it. Fuck. Terrence Ferguson, I'm comfortable with. I'm also interested in Ben Sennett. Let's go Terrence Ferguson. I at least know Ferguson is going to be on the field. Damn it, he's at a week 8 bye. Motherfucker. It's literally the only reason I want a tight end 2 when I have Bowers. Literally the only fucking reason. God damn. Whatevs. Okay, we got Drake May, Jordan Love, and Geno Smith on this team. Solid. Happy with that. Especially with Bowers and Geno. That's dope. Running back is Saquon, Hampton, Dobbins, Tyjae, and Brashard Smith. If the top 2 stay healthy, then I don't need the other 3 at all. So I'm fine with the risk I took on with this quintet. Quintet is the word I'm looking for. Dobbins, obviously a ton of risk with his injury concerns. Tyjae already hurt. We don't know when he'll play. And then Brashard Smith kind of buried on the depth chart for a while. Have no idea when he cracks the lineup. But if they ever do, they have very high upside. We're relying on Saquon and Hampton. The floor is pretty high in general. We're fine at running back. Wide receiver, though, got a fucking steal on JSN. Zach says we have the new Puka with Igbuka. Golden in round 6, the new Lad McConkey. Juwan Jennings for the potential. Jaden Higgins for also the upside. I think in terms of rookie receivers, who could Jaden Higgins be? I would say Jaden Higgins, this year's Tank Dell. Josh Palmer, this year's Quentin Johnston. Kyle Williams, I think he might only have relevance in the fantasy playoffs, but that's where all the money is. So our money maker. And then Amari Cooper for the Geno Smith stack might be washed, may have no value, but as our wide receiver 8, knowing that Jacoby Myers requested a trade, worth a swing for the sake of the stack. Bowers for the Geno stack, elite tight end, and then sadly we got a double bye in week 8. I should have just taken Ben Sennett, but he also might have been a 0 in week 8 as well. So we're okay. We'll be fine. Tight end is not something I'm going to worry about when I have Bowers. All right. We were drafting with some other people, so let's take a look at Severe Jury in here at 2. He went CD, Jacobs, Ladd, Jamo, Sutton. Love the receiving core. Grabbed DeAndre Swift. Good pick there. Then takes Stephon Diggs for the 5th receiver. Not bad at all. Tyrone Tracy is the RB3. I can get behind it. Although I may have taken JCM knowing he was also on the board. That may have been the only thing I might have changed, but I forgot JCM was on the board at 92 myself. Sometimes it's hard to remember. Dak at 98 for the Lamb stack, always a good choice. And Njoku, as long as Fannin doesn't overtake him and he stays healthy, he's a great pick. Herbert, high floor. Love a pairing of Herbert and Dak. Very safe combo. And then Kyle Pitts with Michael Penix. I understand that decision. Dante Thornton. I mean, if Cooper is worthless, then Dante's totally worth it. I've been personally cooling off Dante just a little bit at this price, mainly because I have a lot of him at the end of the draft. And so I kind of have been wanting him to come back down. But he's a great best ball pick. He's got so much like house call ability. He's really cool. Then you took Woody Marks. I think Woody Marks actually might be one of the steals of the draft now, because I don't feel like I can trust Nick Chubb, and now like Mixon's irrelevant. I don't think Mixon's gonna play. Even if he does, who's to say he doesn't get hurt immediately when he steps on the field? I don't trust Mixon at all. I think Woody Marks is the only running back they have with value. DJ Giddens, great handcuff appeal. And then Likely, you got the fucking steal with Likely as well. Love that pick. And then Knoll in the 18th round. Knoll's really talented. It's just a question of like how buried is that depth chart in Houston? Can he ever eclipse Christian Kirk? Probably happens at some point. But we saw last year that Stroud really struggles to keep 3 receivers competent. So that's one reason why I'm kind of off of both Christian Kirk and Knoll. I've put all my eggs in the Jaden Higgins basket, and I'm probably wrong enough where Knoll is still really valuable. I really like Knoll a lot coming out of the draft. I actually had the 2 very similar in terms of value. So I think long term, I think in Dynasty, I love Jalen Knoll. This year, I'm just kind of worried about Christian Kirk a little bit, but still a very good pick in round 18. And then we're also drafting with Grigor in at pick 8. Grigor has Nico Collins, Drake London, elite receiver duo. Oh, and then we mentioned the opposite strategy of mine with the elite duo at receiver and then elite QB. I went elite running back duo and elite tight end. So after that, he gets Travion pick 41. Let's go. Flowers with Lamar, always nice in the late 5th round. Then Rashee Rice in the 6th. I love the price on Rashee here. I think now is where the upside's like so undeniable. It's so worth it. In the 5th, I'm still kind of scared. But in round 6, I think he's phenomenal value here. So good pick. You stack him up with Mahomes. Dope. Goes Kelsey and Andrews, so both tight ends stacked. That's phenomenal. Rashad Bateman to complete the stack. Eckler now in the 11th. I don't hate it, but just as JCM rises, so should Eckler, so it's fair. I'll be honest, my voice is a bit hoarse at this point. But Ollie Gordon, high upside on the goal line. Nick Chubb and Jerome Ford. Worth a swing with those guys. Also have Taj Brooks and Kendry Miller. So you went ham at running back. Damn, you have 7 running backs. Travion is the anchor. It's not bad. I don't hate it at all. Taj Brooks at 200. Kendry Miller at 209. I mean, if you're going to go 7 running backs, I think this is the way to go. And they also have Thielen and Slayton. Yo, this is a fire team. Starting off with Nico London. Shit. Good team, bro. And now let's review Team 10. Let's take a look at the full, breakdown view for Team 10. Rye Guy 82 goes with a 2-6-8-2 build. Trusting his tight ends, trusting his quarterbacks. How does it fully pan out? Took Bo Nix and Stroud. Joe Mixon, Brian Robinson Jr. as the first 2 picks off the board for this team. Picks 10 and 15 overall. ADP's 121, 127. Then goes Kyron and Breece Hall, Will Shipley and Justice Hill. You would think if you start off with double elite running back with Joe Mixon and Brian Robinson, you'd probably not feel like you need a 6th running back, you know? Seems like a strange pick. You could have probably gone with 4 running backs, given you went 4 straight rounds with running back. Mixon, Brian... Yeah, I'm kind of surprised this team did not go hyper fragile and just commit to the bit with only 4 running backs. But they go with 6. Maybe they're worried. Ricky Pearsall in the 5th with Olave, Cooper Kupp, Godwin, Hollywood Brown, Trey Harris, Alec Pierce, and Quentin Johnston. I mean, there's a path for success, but hyper risky with Kupp and Godwin basically in the starting lineup. And then tight end is Laporta. Backup is Kincaid. You know, this team could actually be a lot worse. But to pretend like their receiving core is safe. No, I'm very happy we drafted with this team and that they took those running backs. Because ultimately, I think that's one of the main factors why Jackson Smith and Jigba fell. That was one of the teams that needed receiver, didn't want him. And then we kind of got lucky with some other teams passing on him. Based on how I started, for me to get JSN at 44 is just so clutch. Here's my final roster one last time. I got Drake May, Jordan Love, Geno Smith, running back Saquon Hampton, J.K. Dobbins, Tyjae Spears, and Brashard Smith. And then tight end is Bowers and Ferguson. And then full receiving core is JSN, Igbuka, Golden, Juwan Jennings, Jaden Higgins, Joshua Palmer, Kyle Williams, and Amari Cooper. Good luck to y'all. I hope y'all the best of luck. I hope we got 3 people in this lobby that were in this live chat. I hope at least 2 of us advance. If it's not me, I hope both of y'all make it out of here. All right. I think I'm going to sign off. I'll check the chat one last time. I know I missed on a lot of comments. Um, no worries, Grigor. I don't think it's the end of the world, like you're saying. Given I have Bowers, I'll be okay for 1 week. It's all right. And then, oh, you heard some people street racing around you. I get it now. Yeah, I still have the Viacross. I've been reluctant to get rid of it. I probably should, honestly. I could use the money, but it's such a sentimental piece. Like it's hard to part with it. I bought it myself when I was 15. I bought it myself. That car has a lot of memories on it. A lot of memories with that car. If you don't know, if you're watching and you don't know, Google Isuzu Viacross and then research the Paris Dakar race. If you don't know what that is, if you're not into like the off-road racing circuit, the first ever year that the Isuzu Viacross was in production, they entered it into the Paris Dakar race. It was almost built for this race essentially, where you start off in Paris, you drive all the way down through France, and then you take a ferry into, I forget if it's Tunisia or Algeria. You go into Africa, and they have to drive through the Sahara in a car. First to win this race is, a big fucking deal. And the first year they ever made this car, it won the Paris Dakar race. This car is like a dope off-roading like monster. I have a 99. I think the first year it came out was 98. Isuzu Viacross is fucking dope, but it turns some heads. It's not a easy car to like have an inconspicuous life with. Like, if you got some beef around town and you're driving around that car, they know exactly who you are. You cannot blend in with that car. But sometimes I'll see someone else who drives one. Like once I was on the highway coming up from San Diego, and I was in the carpool lane, and somebody in the lane right next to me going slower, I pulled up on them, and when I drove past him, I made sure to look at him. We made eye contact, and we were like, "Oh!" There's not that many in the United States. So, like, there's less than like 3,000 that they imported into the U.S. Viacross is a very unique car. Steven saying Golden's the Packers, Justin Jefferson. I hope so. I took a lot of them the last several weeks here. I also took a lot of them in the beginning of the offseason, and then I kind of cooled off. I pivoted to Jaden Reed mid-year. But back before the draft, right after the draft, I was taking a lot of Golden. And then in like late June and July, I was mostly taking Reed. And then in August, I've been taking Golden pretty much exclusively. So I hope so. I would love to see that. Butte did have some good spike weeks late. He's actually pretty interesting. Yeah, this is a good point. In terms of late season schedule, I also like that. I think the Texans are going to be pretty desperate for wins at the end of the year. They got a tough year incoming. Their schedule's not easy. Thank you, Grigor. Had fun as well. Solid anchor RB draft. I think it worked out okay. That JSN price is just like so sweet. Hector saying, should I drop Hollywood Brown for Ollie Gordon? Yes. Take Ollie Gordon above Hollywood Brown for sure. For sure. Yes, rust thankfully is not a big factor. Like I've had the car kind of sitting in the backyard for a while, and no rust. It almost never rains, but there is some paint damage. The paint starts to thin. Mine's silver as well, so silver doesn't do well in the hot sun. Too many years over. Last few years, as it's been sitting, sadly, it's gotten some paint damage. Might need to wrap it if I'm gonna sell it for like max value, because the price to repaint it, I don't think would be worth the resale value. But yeah, that's gonna be it. I'll stop talking about my Isuzu Viacross. Peace out, everyone. I hope you all enjoyed. If you enjoyed, hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already. If you made it this far, drop a like on your way out if you haven't done so already. But we have more likes than viewers right now. odds are you've liked the stream at this point. If not, do me a favor, drop that like button, and I'll see you guys soon. I got my Super Bowl prediction coming up tomorrow. I'm going to adjust some win-loss picks, make some changes on like final records for every team. That Micah Parsons trade changes a lot. I'm also like really terrified of Miami. So I've faded some more teams. I've gotten a little bullish on some teams, and even a division I just posted yesterday, the AFC South, odds are 8 and 9 doesn't win it. So I found another win for both the Titans and the Texans. I think they finished tied at 9 and 8, but I still think that the Titans will win. Anyway, Leia is upset that I'm not saying goodbye yet. So good night, everyone. Peace out. Okay, we're going to bed now.